がどんどん進化しているっていうのを自分たちが勝って証明していきたいなって思っています。
많이 실망하셨을 수도 있다고 생각은 하지만 산티아고 때도 그랬던 것처럼 무조건 다시 올라올 테니까 많은 응원 부탁드립니다.
얘들아 플레이오프 잘해서 런던 가자.
파이팅해서 스테이지 1은 우승하자.
Let's go.
Just do your job.
Today's matchup. RRQ.
Welcome to Playoffs Pacific. We kick things off with RRQ taking on GE. RRQ, definitely one of the most resilient Pacific teams. They are never truly out of a fight until the game is done. That resilience has led them to becoming kings of Stage 1 last year. Can they return to the throne?
Yeah, they had a very rocky group stage despite the fact they were meant to be in the easier group. However, as you mentioned, they've not only won Pacific, but they've already been to some of these international events. Over in the Tokyo finals, they were a standout as well. So not only do we want to see Crazy Guy playing in front of our home crowd over in Ho Chi Minh City, but we want to see Jovi win over his former head coach in Frost and continue on in a bracket where I feel like the third team to make it to London is kind of up in the air. I think PRX and T1 are a shoo-in, but past that, I don't know what's going to happen. So this is a must-win game for both teams.
Yep, big question
Global
marks up
esports.
in the air. And for Global Esports, finally in playoffs, this is finally a stage where they can show what they're truly capable of. Now it's time to answer the question that everybody has on their minds. Can GE actually do this?
Yeah, GE fans, look, I know your pain. I know there's never been playoffs before. I know that better than most people. But here we are today. It's the first day of playoffs. You get to see this roster take on one of the old favorites here. I think they're for sure the underdog. They're coming in here without the experience as those players on the other side. But they're ready to bring their A game. They're ready to upset everybody today and show their true potential here in the playoff stage.
Yeah, I'm looking at the leadership of this team. I think Autumn with a lot of experience, Patman having played at some of these international events, and Frost always putting together teams that end up doing better than the sum of their parts. This is probably the best GE roster that we've ever seen assembled thus far, and they need to take advantage of it. And to be honest, if you're going to be making it deep in the playoffs, you've got to take down a couple of Titans in Pacific, because as they mentioned in the hype trailer there's a lot of dangerous teams in this bracket.
I mean, it doesn't get easier. To quote Frost, just do your job, guys. Let's do the job today. That's, that will be the motto for them, I'm sure. They know that they're good enough to win this game if they play to their level. Taking a look at the map, Vito, again, you can see the mind games. You see how it plays out between two old friends here. And I love that Ascent is that map 3. My goodness, I want it.
And it's going to be starting right in the first few rounds, because with RQ starting on attack, and we saw GE's comp, how well it worked against Nongshim. They've already defended themselves against one of the most aggressive teams in the league. What does RQ potentially have that can break through all of the walls that GE can
I
put
mean,
up?
it was a tough shout either way. Either you're going on to split as RRQ, a map where Ian Zeta have stomped you earlier on in the bracket and you've shown some weakness, or Breeze, a map you lost 3 times back-to-back at the end of kickoff. They're going to have had to work on one of those maps and go in that direction, and it seems like that they've started with Breeze here. Not only are they not afraid of GE's Breeze, but they're not afraid of their defensive side, despite the fact that GE just stomped Nongshim at the end of groups 9-3 on defense first.
I mean, 9-3, and it could have been cleaner than that, to be honest. I feel like they could have got even more than 9, which is nuts to say. I mean, this GE comp, assuming they play what they played last time, it is potent on the defense. The Sage is so good at stopping that Neon, so I really want to see the answers Jovi and RRQ have prepared here, because there's no way you've not thought about this. There's no way you didn't expect Breeze to come up at some point today. So I can't wait to see the answers here.
No, absolutely. And you know, Frost and Jovi are in each other's head at this point also. So we saw what these teams are capable of. Now you feel like it's almost back to the starting point, because with playoffs here, all of these teams are definitely showing a different side of themselves.
All right, we found out what RRQ have been cooking. Monya, he's had his struggles playing only Neon thus far. Back onto the controller, Harbor, a very popular choice, but they're throwing Jemkin onto Neon. It's something he's played every now and then. He's been decent on. He's always good on any duelist, and they're playing double Enid here. That's going to give them the flexibility to work the map a lot more than Nongshim did against GE on the attack side first.
Yes, I like it. We saw Nongshim get stopped a lot in the chokes and then have no secondary answer. This comp will have a lot more util to work with. You should be able to go a bit slower, mid-round more effectively. So that's clearly the approach they're taking, is try and bait out this defensive util. That puts a lot of pressure on Javi. You have to be smart with your Sage util here. Otherwise, if it gets baited too easily, the side becomes open for RRQ.
Oh yeah, the IGL matchup is crazy as well between RRQ and GE. Just about everything in this match is just so crazy too. We're gonna send it to our casters for our first map of the day. Over to Quack and to Elfish.
Thank you so much, Mika. Yes, of course, a lot to talk about today, Quack, and I think the Devs have really laid it out nicely for us, starting off with our first game of the playoffs here for Pacific Stage 1. But have you got any thoughts? Have you cooked anything up in the lab for this game? Is there anything on your mind?
In my lab? Oh, not much.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it all comes down to what happens on the stage. In fact, it's just the main theme of today would be the fact that the teams that win their series today will kind of join the next two teams as the Elite Four of Pacific. And that would be one step away from actually making it to that Masters London qualifier. I mean, it's just such a big pressure-staking game. It's a lot on the players' minds, but at the same time, you don't want to go down to that lower bracket. It's a more treacherous path, more potential pitfalls facing off against teams like DFM, Nongshim. So it all comes down to this.
It does indeed. Lots on the line, like we've said. The desk have really set it up nicely for us, but importantly, we have to remember a couple of things for these two teams. RRQ, of course, trying to send Crazy Guy to Vietnam. This is one step on that pathway. And for GE, their first time as an organization in playoffs with lots to prove for this roster. Question is, how far can they go? Do we get a cent today? That's another question. We'll get all the answers as we jump into game number 1 of Pacific Stage 1 playoffs. And this is going to be, I think, a banger. You saw how divided it was on the predictions. The desk had no idea. We have no idea. Let's just get into it and see how we go.
Would love to see an Ascent, of course, as well. We already had that a little bit in China. But for now, over onto Breeze, where RRQ are starting out on the attack. As the desk mentioned, GE were very strong on their defensive side previously. This time, they're pushing down middle on the pistol.
Yeah, something different. See if they can have an impact in the game nice and early. Unsettle RRQ. I haven't found anything thus far, but they've been spotted out, and that is potentially bad news. GE have to make a split-second decision. Do we keep going, or do we cancel? The answer is, we're going to keep going, but we're going to go right into Cushy, and we're going to go right into Crazy Guy. This is the perfect start for RRQ. The pistol surely now unwinnable for GE.
Yeah, no shot. Crazy Guy finishes it off with a 3K. I mean, this is exactly what Morgan was talking about on the desk. Just the fact that picking this map into, or picking this side into G must mean that you have some kind of antis cooked up. And this one, you could clearly see it. As soon as they saw all 5 down middle, it's a quick pivot over on the B side. That's footsteps, and G thinks to chase instead. Unbeknownst to them, it's Crazy Guy. It's Xfero still holding up, and they just pick them apart. Off to the next round now, you got to think about how this composition can continue to work off as well, because you got the Harbor in, you've got double initiator. You can play a rather controlled and measured style. They will continue to default for now.
I mean, I love how that pistol has set us up for this game, because again, you know, you talk about the mind games. That was a really big conversation point. You know, the coach matchup, and I think that round is really a good example of it, right? There's certainly a lot of layers to that. GE this time coming off worse for it, but I'm sure there's going to be a few more implications as we go deeper into this matchup as to how those kinds of rounds are going to play out, and there'll be a few fumbles probably from RRQ on that way as well.
Yeah, so much potentially. I mean, that's, I think, another big question as well, just seeing Global Esports' path into playoffs. You know, first one, it's pretty big for this team, you know, apart from Frost as the coach. Have they regained that composure ever since that game against KRX, PRX even? They've been looking a little bit worse for wear. They did find that recovery against Nongshim, but what about today? You know, what if RRQ comes in with spoilers to their plans? Do they lose that kind of composure and confidence in themselves and their ability again? So, big test, but for now, just an anti-eco quick Russian from RRQ.
Yeah, 3 players on this side. Now 2 though, as Javi has gone down. Jemkin putting in some work on the entry. Has some amends to make for last week, I think, and it's good to see him starting well. A pretty routine round out here for RRQ, but yeah, what I'm most keeping an eye on there is Jemkin just walking in, hitting a nice couple of shots, settling himself, feeling comfortable, because I really feel like he's been a big X factor or a big proponent of the success for RRQ in the past, and the fact that he just went completely missing last week was such a surprise to us all. But if he has a good day today, well, maybe it will be RRQ's day as well.
Right, could be fast. If this map goes RRQ's way, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be a little bit worried for GE and my prediction. But that aside, you're absolutely right. Jemkin was a little bit missing. He did find that recovery towards the end of the maps as well.
Yeah.
And that's just something that you always got to think about with this guy. The fact that he's on the Neon as well, though, is very interesting because he doesn't tend to be that kind of dive duelist style, but that's what they're going to be doing into A site.
Certainly. Quick round here for the first gun round as RRQ take all of that space. They've got themselves a Viper wall set up. Get that plant down early on in the piece. The question is now, sent in the direction of GE, what is the answer going to be? They're waiting, of course, for Unatan to come across. He's still making his way through spawn, so things will probably slow down for the next, 5-10 seconds or so.
Yeah, wait for the utility to go down and then start to find your picks. You've got them surrounded completely.
Drone over the top, trying to figure out where RRQ have got this set up, and Unatan very, very scared about pushing his way forward into A main. There's multiple players waiting for him there. Jemkin for one, but no more than that. GE looking for their response, and it is Swift.
Just completely corralling RRQ all around the site. A bit of distraction bought by Yudotan, especially with that relay bolt coming across. I mean, they started to turn away from the actual fight happening around the pyramids. The 2 players who were holed up inside of shop, and that's, I think, where the fight completely broke apart. Also, quite, I think controlled with G and how they decided to sit inside that cove, break it first, and then that's how you find those trades, right? You can see that Jemkin, apart from the initial shot, RQ tried to fight back as well, but ultimately it's the better weaponry that comes out on top. So a standard start so far, and at the same time, RQ being able to buy back up. They will probably start to be aware that G might have some potential push-outs outside of B for now. So back over with the 3-2 split.
I'm intrigued to see what Unatan is going to get up to here. He's obviously got the judge in hand, so see if he can maybe get a little bit more aggressive, which is kind of what you're seeing outside of A here. Obviously, GE a little bit more interested in taking a look at middle.
And that's what this double Sentinel composition can do as well. We saw it against Nongshim. We saw how effective Javi can be with the Sage, the walls coming up, blocking off avenues of entry, the slows coming in to slow things down as well. But the main thing right now, though, is they're aware of Xfero being around the corner as well. Does G continue to push the issue? Is RQ going to try to pivot back over onto A site?
Oh, nice bait and switch, but it's not going to matter. Xfero is just so much better. I mean, you saw the aim get dragged away, but such a quick readjustment. That's a perfect start for RRQ as they'll waltz their way into A.
Yeah, the only way that G turns things back is if Crystal somehow really proves himself to be the better Russian and finds some frags necessary. Slow mid-rotation as well, because they're always concerned about a potential lurk.
There is a lurk. Crazy guy. Just trying to hold on to middle. We'll give away his position, but again, it doesn't really matter. It seems like the aim is on point for RRQ today. Gets shaded out by Patman. That's largely irrelevant at this point. It sort of feels like GE are already in safe territory.
Most likely. It's just not really being able to see too much. You've got the Viper wall up over the A side as well. It's just way too difficult, so relatively good call to save, but apart from that, you can tell, this is exactly what you're thinking about. Could the confidence be shaken up once again? You had 2 players inside of K or A main, and somehow that's still broken apart because of just Xfero with the aim. You had a judge as well. Like, those are positions where you're meant to win, but one way or another, it happens, and you have to quickly pivot over into thinking, how can you recover from that spot?
100%.
Unfortunately,
That's literally just a mechanical diff at that point. Like, you're right in saying that should not go that way.
Oh.
And, you know, I think there's no real...
Dad's disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing else you can really say because, well, like, you didn't do anything wrong per se. You didn't have a bad setup or anything like that. You just didn't hit your shots. And on a day like today, you're going to have to be hitting your shots. But GE have to try and shake that off. But I'm starting to get a little bit worried here, Quack. This is looking a bit awkward. RRQ are fired up, man. They're hitting everything. And GE coming in a little bit sleepy. Autumn 0-5 as well. That's 2 rounds in a row now where he has lost the opening pick as well. GE have to start getting a bit worried here. They've got to find a way to turn this around. Push coming through from Yudotan. And that might be just enough to settle the nerves here. Bring it back to a 4-on-4, slow it down a little bit, and give GE some breathing room.
Exactly what you need in this moment. Take flight. Start to think about where RRQ could be positioned. The drone potentially selling some kind of a fake. At least you'll still trust in the utility that you do have, which would be the Viper Wall as well as the Sage Wall inside of Cave. So 2-2 split for now. They can always rotate back and forth at the same time. Players could be starting to get a little bit more proactive down middle, maybe B main, and that's why you see the rotation from Yudotan going over onto B side, but that's unfortunately not the right gamble.
Well, once again, RRQ just going to try to filter their way out onto this A site. And the fast lane, they had the Viper Wall. RRQ happy to take that plant. GE happy to play for the retake. Hits down now as well. So that will add another element of difficulty for GE, but Harvey finding Crazy Guy at least gives them the player advantage, and Cushy is quite low now as well, so this could still go back the way of GE. But they've got to push their way into that pit.
Maybe Yudotan pushes in somehow. There we go.
Yep, lead the charge. Cushy still surviving for now. Orb goes up to try to slow things down. Jemkin again, he's on a bit of a heater. A triple for Jemkin in the round. It might just be enough to close it out. Poutman saves the day with the final shot through. And there is time for that defuse. GE will get themselves their second, but it is on a knife's edge right now.
Yeah, not exactly the way that you want to start the round, but at least they still managed to stabilize towards the end. The Viper's pit, unfortunately, somehow became RRQ's undoing. They all stayed inside of it, and unfortunately that's where, you know, Yudotan being that neon with a relay bolt starts to break things apart. Jemkin, they always had to pivot back and forth 90 degrees left and right, and it's always a tough shot to hit, especially when GE are, I guess, this much in sync. That said, though, it's still a really good point to bring up the fact that Autumn needs to step up.
100%. And maybe that's going to be the conversation here coming through from Frost. Obviously, like we've said, it's a real mental battle between these two teams as well. The two coaches coming in, they've worked together for a long time in the past and now facing each other head-to-head on the stage. And this is where they first both get to have some really significant impact on this game.
It's definitely, what I would give to be in the coaching booth to be able to listen in. It's just such an interesting thing to think about, just the fact that they are both so familiar with each other and how they're, you know, thinking about Valorant. They've seen each other's, well, I mean, at least Jovi has seen Frost's, you know, approach towards Breeze for now. But that's where you really want to think about how the next few rounds could go. So far, this comes down to 2 retakes successful for GE. Apart from that, they've often lost the initiative in the early fights, and that could be because of Autumn. You know, as the solo chamber, you really need him to be able to, you know, either find these early picks or anchor down sites more effectively. Right now, though, it's an attention towards middle. Meanwhile, RRQ is staying with the same 3-2 split setup.
Yeah, I think you probably want to change up the approach to the early round for GE. That will be the conversation point in that break time. And something they're going to, as you say, add a couple more forces. That Sage Wall up over the top, but irrelevant again as Xfero finds Patman. It's just so awkward, you know. GE, they're trying things. They're trying to unsettle RRQ, but it seems like RRQ always have the answer for what GE is trying to do.
That's another conversation in and of its own as well. I mean, the RRQ core, this team has stuck together for quite a while. A lot of experience, a lot of comfort in these positions as well.
Xfero low, but still hitting shots, and so Harvey's going to go down. It's a favorable exchange, of course, for RRQ, and even with that clean kill onto Xfero and onto Cushy, this is still a really tough round for GE. You've got to get past Monyet and Crazy Guy and Autumn who has only just found his first frag of the map, is the one in the 2v1 clutch. There'd be no better time to start to turn it around than now, but Quack, I feel as though he might be starting to run out of time. A tap on the defuse, tries to get something going, but it's impossible. The crossfire is just too strong.
Yeah, that's a potential factor. You would have hoped at least he would have found the first one, though. I mean, so far so good in the micro. He's able to TP away off of the flash. But down to the kills, something's still not connecting for the guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, let's play this together.
And apart from that as well, yeah, you could definitely see this is exactly where all the plans fall apart. Initially, Pat taking first contact, they saw the positions, but as they shifted over onto the retake as well, just not able to find that correct footing. RRQ instead, they stagger all the positions all across the B site, and now that could be the game-changing plan that gives RRQ the lead. Economy broken for GE, but now Autumn's starting to strike back.
Yeah, that's a bit more like it. He's been having an awkward time at the start of the rounds, but now RRQ get a little bit of their comeuppance. It's a greedy peek maybe from Jemkin, straight into the shot from Autumn, and now all of a sudden, GE get to play from the front. They get to play from the 5-on-4.
Look at this as well, right? The rotation off the initial pick, and you also have the ultimate brought out now. Toward a force online and zeroed in on towards A main. Anyone who dare step out, if the wall doesn't come up in time, could really be hampered to things.
Drone out. Bit of info being put through. Hunter's Fury with a little bit of a look in as well, but the connection's lacking. And Autumn has changed up his position as well. Won't be scanned, and it's going to be too little too late for Kushi as that information now starts to come through. Autumn starting to pop off in this round. He's been missing, but now he's being the difference maker. Almost on for the ace. Doesn't quite get it done, but brings it down to the 1v1. And the ever so reliable Patman is there for GE. Can he get it done?
He's been that guy for the team, but now just a sheriff?
Doesn't quite manage to find it there. Xfero Patman cleans it up with the shot through, and GE, they get through another round by the skin of their teeth. But if that's what it's going to take, Quack, a 4K from Autumn and then a 1v1 clutch, I'm still not holding my breath.
Not entirely convincing now, is it? Still, though, I mean, that star factor, you love to see it happen. Somehow picking up Vandal, going in for a sudden peek, and Xfero not able to react in time. But at the same moment, just thinking about how this entire round plays out, you have two walls, and that's the strength of the composition that RRQ has brought into the fray as well. You've got a Viper wall initially to kind of condition and mentally confuse your opponents, but then the second deeper Harper wall comes up, and that allows for Crazy Guy to come in with a side flank, which unfortunately, brought the numbers back down a little bit more. For GE then, to once again try to get the right read, but the 0 points always tossing things apart. It's an A split now.
Yeah, I wonder if RRQ going to go fast here to try to unsettle things. It looks like that'll be the case. Jemkin instantly taken down on the trade, but RRQ very happy with the entry they get. It's a 2-for-1 into A. They get the plant down, and again, it's GE on the back foot.
I mean, that just tells me, right? That's such a big read. You saw that Autumn was starting to op. Now you know he's going to be buying that for the next round. Let's just run it down. And they actually managed to find the successful trades. You've got Null Command propped up as well, and that's going to be GE a little bit slower to the party this time. Same approach from Yudotan to the back of A main, and it seems like Monyets were rare.
Oh, straight on in. Yudotan gets the better of Monyet. So we're back into the 3-on-3, and it almost feels like Groundhog Day. They're retaking into a pit on the A site once again, and that was one of the rounds that GE won, but this time they don't have that much time to play with. Luckily, they've got Kushi out of the picture. It's a 1-for-1. Now Yudotan starting to come into his own. Xfero not able to pull it off. Defuse on, and it will be close, but Yudotan doesn't have it. Oh, RRQ will take the round. GE just weren't able to put that one together quickly enough.
Unfortunately not. Yeah, I mean, every round so darn close. They have to fight tooth and nail for every single retake that they have. And this one comes down to time. They had the positions. Yudotan broke apart this A main hold with that relay bolt, which, kind of meant he had left to deal with the Viper Spit. So it all came down to how they actually timed their peaks and trades into it. And they actually managed to find the frags necessary, but just down to that defuse, man. Oh my goodness. Once again, you have to think about economy, and once more, GE is broke. They dumped the pit into A main, but the hit's going to be.
Yeah, RRQ once again looking to try and play this one quickly. They've figured out maybe that's going to be the recipe for success, at least in the middle stages of this half.
Spike planted.
Patman, the only player with a rifle in this round, and of course, like you said, he pulls the pit out in A main, so doesn't have that in the back pocket anymore either. This is a very tough retake for GE.
Trying to go in as a full pistol train. Perhaps buy the attention away from Patman to find a flank.
Kushi was spotted out here as well, I think. They are aware of his position, so they're going to try and clear him out as well. Going together, that's nice. But again, time will be a real factor, and I think Patman is going to have to come up with the goods. He comes in from that flank and opens it up. Now it's down to a 1v2. They've just got to find Monyet. Crystal's on the defuse. He had no idea, but Patman again gets the kill. Unfortunately, no time. GE are just getting so close, yet so far. And that is 6-3 for RRQ, and this half is really starting to look quite dominant.
I know. I mean, this is already quite the turnaround from last week's Breeze defense side against Nongshim. They actually ended up in a successful 9-3. This time around, though, feels like the score has turned around, more attack-sided for RRQ, just because of the reads, just because of the rushes, and G not able to respond. Every single round down to the retakes, and in this one, the time. I mean, it was a good way to work around the eco. They found all the successful trades, but still. And it just feels like you're always like Sisyphus climbing up against that hill. RRQ once again rushing into B site.
Yeah, they've really cracked the code, it would seem like. These fast plays is exactly what they've gone for 3 rounds in a row. And once again, they're straight on into B. The defense is elsewhere. Hunter's Fury getting pulled out to try and slow things down, but it's not really going to matter. Patman is all over it. The 3-4K from Patman. He's just pulled that out of nowhere. That's just straight shooting.
And it's just Xfera left. Trying to play by window. Everyone's marking for him.
Yeah, give him the ace. Give him the ace.
No. You can't let his mental go up that high.
I mean, look, you go back to that previous round where Patman sort of wastes the pit in a sense, and he goes, "Don't worry about it, mate. I got this. I'll get another one in a couple of rounds' time. It's no problem."
I just can't believe that this is how they actually make it work. You know, you have the Hunter's Rear. That's a quick way to, find that entry back in. But Pat taking the confidence to just push all the way down back site, something that I think RRQ was not expecting at all. And that's going to be another one to add to the montage. There's already a YouTube compilation of Pat being that difference maker for G, 9-minute compilation.
Dude, he has been insane this season. And once again, delivering 13-4 in this half. And they're down 6-4. Can only get better for Patman, I imagine.
Yeah, real good chance. RRQ, though, I gotta say, they're also employing a very different approach to how they normally go, a little bit more slow and methodical. This time around, rushing back and forth, but taking things slow. Economy's not quite there. So just trying to do a little bit more scouting, some recon work. GE, though, I mean, the positions, this is what worked out for them so well. This time, however, it's Javi on a wall perched up on top of a pyramid. So that's another thing that maybe RQ won't expect. But then again, they might not really walk into it. The main thing to watch out for here would be the setup around B site, Autumn and Patman.
Yeah, Drone will have spotted it now anyway. Pushy heading back over to B. It's going to be another B hit. RRQ have been successful getting in, but this time they run straight into Patman. Once again, it seems like the door is closed. Patman is just doing it all by himself at the moment for GE. Eventually, he's overrun. There's a rotate coming through here from Harvey, and that is an unexpected position for Crystal.
30 seconds left.
So all of a sudden, it's maybe falling apart. GE with Udotan still alive.
A lot of recon available for Kushi as well, though. Udo has to be really quick to break utility or reposition around.
Spikes out in no man's land. 13 seconds here, Quack. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it. Has to win the duel and can't. Udotan saves the day for GE, and they are really just hanging on by the slivers of their fingers in a lot of these rounds. But you're kind of starting to get to that par score mark, right? They're getting at least something in this first half.
Yeah, at least 6-6. Not too bad. You know, you kind of think about how the attack side could go, working against a double controller on the defensive. But apart from that, you really have to worry for GE. This is another round again where Autumn has failed to be that anchor for the B side. He was alongside Pat. Pat actually had the snake bite to kind of try and delay or slow things down, finds the opening frag against pistols. Maybe it's the mobility, but Autumn was not able to land a shot, so a bit more support this time. It's Crystal on B site, but ooh, big execute coming across.
Yeah, and they're straight on in once again. RRQ are not delaying things at all. Plant's going to go down.
Spike planted.
Now just a bit of settling down, waiting for the wall to come across, while Javi tries to set up some kind of a flank. Still has a lot of utility in for it as well, but once again, Autumn onto the off, trying to find some picks, and there he goes.
Yeah, but Xfero's in such a strong position here. They're going to have to try to clear him out. He might even find one more. Harvey goes down. This is looking like a doomed retake for GE. Udatan and Autumn. And it's really just falling apart at the seams, isn't it? RRQ with far too many numbers. A solid first half, 7-5. They claim the lead. GE, did they do enough? Have they got enough, do you reckon? I mean, that's still something. It's a base platform to build off of, but they're going to need to have a pretty damn good second half here.
They really do. I mean, you're absolutely right, Jordan. It's the fact that they need to lock the heck in. Second half, start out with the pistol banger and continue onward from there, because if not, I could see this going south real quick. Look at how RRQ is playing. They're a lot faster than they used to be, and at the same time, they always have, you know, well thought out plans in the post plan. Xfero they always have another additional layer, someone on the lurk somewhere else. This time it was Xfero out towards elbow, and he's able to be that spoiler, you know, peeking out towards middle, taking a couple of players down, being that extra factor that G has to worry about in those retakes. So in these, you know, tactical timeouts, you can tell the coaches are definitely finding their input. This is already shaping up to be one hell of a matchup.
Well, I was going to say, do you think this is a case of the apprentice overtaking the master a little bit, right? You obviously talk about Jovi and you talk about Frost, and Frost has kind of taught him everything he knows, but
oh my
now
gosh.
maybe that's going to blow up a little bit, as it seems as though in a lot of cases, RRQ, I feel like, are getting the better read than GE in a lot of these rounds. So maybe the game plan, maybe the prep's just been a little bit better there for RRQ coming into this matchup.
You know, I'm not going to lie. In a nutshell, I would say you're right. I would agree with you. Just the fact that so far this is the result. We're seeing RRQ kind of run circles around GE a little bit. But there's still, you know, a lot more to go. This one comes down to the antes, just having watched a lot of GE's rounds on defense against Nongshim last week. So really, still could be anyone's game. It all comes down to this pistol now for this first map, though, as GE onto the attack decide to go for a 4-1 split into A site.
Yeah, big pistol here for GE, and they have very much been spotted out, so that's going to prompt the rotate quickly here for RRQ. Crazy guy had too many targets to try to shoot at. Harvey and Udatan getting low, but of course, as you can see, Udatan copying the heal. Patman in for one is not quite enough to get us too excited just yet. That's bad news for GE. Plant's gone down though, and 4v3. You'd think GE should probably have this, right?
Double Sentinel. You know, they're starting to slow things down. They're starting to set up as well. They should, but you got to worry about Jemkin now, who's on a slight flank.
Yeah, RRQ definitely taking their time about this. Jemkin, he's got a few players, too many to handle. There's just nothing you can do in a situation like that one. Xfero's hit by the shock dart. Don't think this one's coming together at all for RRQ, but that's a good kill. Trouble is, the post plant is just so strong. And that shock dart is also going to be pretty powerful with the positioning of the plant. Some good kills coming through from Cushy. Is it enough, though? The question I asked. The defuse, of course, is well and truly not going to happen, but that was close to being exciting.
Yeah, well, I also say it's pretty exciting.
It's good shots.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you're farming up the ulti a little bit quicker, you know, that's something, right?
How is it that G weren't landing those shots, though? I mean, the peaks and the coordination to go for these, you know, little trades where you can, you know, potentially set up for trades is pretty sick. But down to this one, like, come on.
What the hell? At least they're having a good time with it.
All right. You think to the next round, I mean, this is where you can already start to see, you know, potential warning signs. You always want to worry about where Crazy Guy could be sending these 0 points, and that's what this composition can do as well. You land it just right, you could potentially spoil a lot of executes against Neons.
Ooh.
Not to mention the harbor walls and slows.
Well, G have well and truly been pushed back from A main. So Jemkin just going to take up residence there, just shoulder spot on the corner. Not really seeing too much, so happy to send the rest of the team kind of on their way, maybe have a bit of a peek in middle. Even got Monyet maybe thinking about a rotate over to B.
Yeah. In all that time, though, G really needs to either bait out more utility and come down to a quick decision, because in all that time, RRQ's going to be able to continue to reposition. Of course, GE doesn't want to lose their weapons, though. Bring it over onto the potential bonus and ride that wave. That's what they're trying to do right now.
The right call so far. from RRQ to keep the harbor over on A here, but I'm really not too sure how much it's going to matter. On yet.
Spike down.
Good for one.
I have the spike.
That's, again, not quite enough to really trouble GE on their way into A, and it looks like we'll have an equalizing round out here, so game on as far as GE are concerned.
Oh no, hang on.
Nah, surely not. I'm not getting baited.
We've got bandits, it's Xpharaoh. I'm worried.
Auto's on the flank though, so it should have it pretty easily handled, even if these two players come and have a bit of a trouble on the site. You know, he comes in as the late lurk, the late flank, gets it done. So 7-7. Game is alive and well here on Breeze.
Yes, but also, unfortunately, maybe not. The fact that they've lost 3 guns in that round, Elfish, is quite worrisome. You're not going to really be able to invest much into the next round. There's a real good chance that RQ comes back into the driver's seat. Starting to get really invested into how this entire map could go so far. Kill leaders, Patman and Xpharaoh being the big difference makers. Xpharaoh then could be such a strong anchor for this B side on RRQ. So G really has to, you know, take their time with things. That's why it's a more methodical approach as opposed to RRQ's rushes.
So far so good for GE though. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
I kind of like that. Pat just announcing his presence out towards middle really forces RQ to think, do we want to push back? And if we do, we have to spend something instead for it. And in all that time, G just sets up for a B split.
Crazy Guy and Xpharaoh very much watching for it. The shots through from Crazy Guy only amounting to 1 onto Autumn, but Xpharaoh has kept himself alive at the back of side, and that is going to be a problem for GE as they're continuing to lose players on the entry. Finally, he's brought down by Harvey, but he's done enough. 3v2, RRQ will feel good for the retake.
Yeah, I really have to bank on maybe the Hunter's Fury, but you're still all, you know, set up around site, so that might not even be a factor. Spotted out now.
Yeah, that'll be trouble. Monyet's just going to back up, waiting for the perfect timing. Kushi instead will be the one to take that kill. And Harvey was spotted out earlier, so I don't think he's really going to be going anywhere too quickly. Oh, yeah, defuser's on. There is just nothing you can do. Walls up, and he was out of position. So 8-7, RRQ will take the lead once again, and it's still GE that are having to play catch-up.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I mean, just once again, look at how it all plays out. I mean, not too bad with the macro ideas, right, with how they wanted to end up on B side with the split. Initially, Pat showing off his position out towards middle. But when it comes down to these fights, I'm not sure what the call was. They just weren't aware of Xpharaoh playing towards backside. Maybe they thought he was closer along the entire wall, but you know, he just kind of springs up. So now a little bit more aware perhaps, but then again a different approach. Middle being spotted out by RQ now with Jemkin jump peeking. Not seeing too much in the early moments though, and there's a slight chance.
Oh, the pre-fire looked good from Patman, but the connection's not quite there.
Still just a bit of information. They could potentially kick down these doors, set up for some kind of an A split, similar to what they did. Just a different site this time around, but RQ's being quite proactive as well. Look at the droning all across. You still have Jemkin. Oh my god, who's finding shots through walls?
Well, we'll take it if we're RRQ. Anything that can get us through this map, because it is a pretty tight affair at the moment. Hit not yet in from GE, but I don't think there's any secrets as to which direction they're headed in, and RRQ are well and certainly fortified on this A site. Yudotan has to try to make the difference, and he's picked up a kill there alongside Crystal. Oh, hang on. There might be something in this one still for GE. We're back to 2-on-2, but Kushi on the rotate. He gets one, spots the other, and now the round gets much, much harder for Crystal. Has to cross back to try to get that spike. He's spotted out by the dart as well. Shockwaves in his direction. He is fighting a battle on multiple fronts, and it's just to try to cross to get the spike. Oh no, now a snake bite down as well. Surely this is not possible, but he gets a big shot in onto Xpharaoh. There's no way he could translate this onto the B side.
Oh no.
He's on the run.
I don't think he's going to be fast enough.
I think he might be. Oh, did he turn around? I think he turned around.
He has to plant safe though.
He's right. He's got it down. He's got it down. And he's going to hear these footsteps from Kushi. He actually has time. Why has he jumped? That's so scary. Don't you worry about that one, though. This peak's going to come through. It won't matter. Kushi gets it done for RRQ, and that's another clutch that will go the way of RRQ.
And just look at the player cams. look at how well composed the RRQ players are. So much more experience, so many more instances where they have been put to the test. They've always had that resilience. How many comebacks, how many overtimes have they already been through inside of Pacific as compared to GE, unfortunately. So that one felt really, nerve-wracking for Crystal as he hopped across to get that plant in, but Cushy, I didn't feel like he was sweating that much at all. Timeout now called, and it feels like almost a necessary one. The final lifeline for GE in this second half, because if not, their economy's broken right now, or at least somewhat, and they could really start to lose their grip over this. I mean, RRQ has been kind of controlling things, reading things. You always have this double initiator, which can do so much. If you're trying to break down the door and trying to go fast, you really need to be able to do things in quick succession. Take down these opening duels, set up host plants real quick, but we're not really seeing that from G at the moment.
You can very much see the sweat on the brow of the coaching staff, I think, on both sides there. RRQ, obviously, they're not out of the woods yet. It's 9-7, sure, they've got the advantage. Things are looking okay. I tell you what, that's not a bad shout. Super Xfero, he has been absolutely dominant on this map as well. 21 and 11.
Let's just think about that. Round 15, yeah, the multi-kill, he was able to break down so many players as they tried to set off that B split. It's really, really troublesome for GE. They're going to save up for this round, barring Javi on the Hero Vandal. That's probably not going to be enough unless you can somehow wrangle guns away. You know that RRQ is going to take things slow. You know there's going to be a lot of recon droning work. That could be a slight window.
Well, GE going to be working hard in this round with not a lot to help them out. There's that drone. Hunter's Fury is going to be the answer. That is not going to connect initially, but now looks locked on. Cushy gets the better of Crystal. Yudotan taking matters into his own hands. Will still provide a bit of space for GE in onto this site. Spike needs to cross. It will go down.
This is not bad, though.
Doable.
Pat in a pretty deep position. If he doesn't get thrown out, if he someone jukes it, there could be a lot of problems. Spotted.
Yeah. I mean, even still, though, they have to get past him first, and they haven't spotted him initially. Cushy goes down. There's a res in the mix as well, so we're back to 3-on-3. That is very much an angle here for GE.
Crystal has the ult.
Like you say, it could be impactful. It's going to get pulled out. Hunter's Fury, slow and steady here from Crystal. Just trying to buy as much time as possible and delay for Harvey. Coming into the picture for two. Hang on, it's a round for GE. Okay, we're back again.
Let's go. A real map in our hands. A semi-thrifty pulled out of the hat. Just thanks to the ultimate, he timed it and spaced this so well. He actually tagged down Crazy Guy as well. But for Javi to be able to stand tall in the moment, that's what won them the round. Apart from that, Pat position as well. Just being able to pull out two more players, or at least close to that, with that one Phantom that was safely delivered to him. Yudotan being able to be that dive duelist as well. This is that GE that makes you believe in this roster. The next round up, though, and once again, RRQ are not going to be able to buy back up.
Yeah.
Just trying to do some scouting work for now.
Money's awkward on both sides at the moment, isn't it? Like, we get deeper and deeper into this map, and everyone's trying to invest where they can, save where they can. That's getting tense now. Scoreline close. Still anybody's map at this point. Yudotan looking to work his way forward in middle. Not bold enough to cross just yet.
It always just gets drawn out so much. And for these rounds, you always want to be, I guess, concerned about potential shotguns or, classic right-click ranges, and that's why G probably are looking to group up and just storm the front all the way down A site.
Wolfpack style. 5 mana, straight on in, trade out. Yudotan sliding across, gets the
that's good.
Early info. G have been slowed down. Flash out now as well will slow them a little further, and so buys time for the rotation to come across. RRQ are going to have members here for the defense.
And it's a quick ult as well.
30 seconds left.
Yeah, Rez is through. Monyet helping Crazy Guy out. So still a 5-on-4 now as Jemkin will drop. There's walls and orbs all over the side at the moment. Xfero on the flank, as you mentioned, comes into play. Crystal down, and that brings Patman across. He's distracted. Rifle secured for Xfero as well, and Autumn just out of position, shot through the wall. Yudotan trying to salvage it. A 4K, and might need the ace to save this round. Patman will help him out. Oh, GE are not doing it easy. I think I might have an aneurysm if I was Frost at this point.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm holding my breath every single time I'm watching these rounds play out. Oh my goodness. They actually managed to come up with the call, but that one little grenade fragment from Crazy Guy slowed it down enough for Jemkin to get within range to pop off that overdrive and kind of throw things into chaos for a bit. And in all that time, while it was chaotic on the site, Xfero comes in for the flank, picks up a rifle, finds a huge multi-kill. Thankfully, Yudotan was able to save the day alongside that wall from Javi, so that's what it all comes down to. But this, Elfish, is where things get pretty interesting as well. We've seen 2 timeouts from GE. We haven't seen them from Jovi just yet, and that's where you might be able to run away with a lead. Coming in with the next buys as well. I mean, they are the ones on the defense. And while the desk was kind of talking about this a little bit as well, a big head-to-head was kind of Jemkin versus Yudotan, the main duelists.
Right.
But another big one that actually Pilsky did mention was Jemkin versus Autumn. In terms of the operator usage rates, it's these two that you want to look out for. And if Jemkin's the one holding the operator, I mean, especially if you think about the games from past weeks, last week in ZFM, he is still quite effective. Taking down a player like Yudotan or even Patman could be a very big factor for RRQ.
Could be indeed. Yeah, RRQ leading from the front has meant they haven't had to invest those timeouts quite as much. So still one more in the back pocket here. If things get tight on their behalf, that'll be getting called before the end of this game. 9-9 is the point at which they might start to get a little bit hot under the collar. Let's see whether or not Jovi has had any positive implications on this round.
Just in terms of positions for now, though. Very controlled, very measured, but early drones in towards A, and that's going to be a call for B players to be prepared.
Xfero's not watching the line. He's just going to get deleted, and that is your key player out of the picture. That's the guy that's been pulling you through so many of these rounds, and he's just plucked out of nowhere. That's just a round over at this point, unless Crazy Guy goes undisturbed. Hang on a minute! The reposition from Autumn is not enough to save the day. Yudotan tried to help him out, but couldn't. So we're back into a 4v4, which is not unwinnable here.
Wow, they actually dumped the Reckoning all across to break the pit.
Yeah, pit's up, obviously. GE just trying to hold strong for the moment. A tap on the defuse. We'll see if it draws anybody out. A 1-for-1 thus far, but Harvey having the impact right here. Does have the res if he wants to pull it as well. Probably unnecessary given the circumstances, but Kushi brings it back to a 2v1. There's no time for the defuse though.
Wait, he actually got a kill off the shotgun. No way, he took down Pat. What a way to find an exit. But the round still goes to G nonetheless.
So when do you call the next timeout here if you're RRQ? Is it 11-9?
Could be. Not gonna lie,
If it
really
goes 11.
could be.
I mean, this is really awkward for Xfero. I mean, like, what do? You just have to choose which angle to watch. You get 50-50 basically, but that's just kind of like your sight gone in an instant, and you don't even feel like you really got to play that round.
It's just one of those things where you haven't really seen G go in, full 5 down B main for the past how many rounds, right? But suddenly it happens. But still, you got players like Crazy Guy still being able to show up all of a sudden. Now RRQ's starting to get proactive. Onto the pistols, though, and that's going to be easy pickings for Autumn. And G just kind of hanging back towards middle as well now because they are starting to see that RQ could potentially be pushing out in the extremities of the map.
Awkward spot to be in. RRQ, I think, going to have to take a bit of a risk somewhere here. 4v5. Jemkin's got the rifle. Push out on B is going to be the risk they're going to take. And it will not pay off.
No. Instead, it's dividends for GE. They could have an open B site now, but they're going to be droning out A main for the time being, having seen a drone towards this position just a second before. That's going to be the call now. They're trying to withstand the fights as well, though. That could be a rifle now picked up.
Exactly, that's a retrievable weapon. I'm still not sure it really is quite enough to get RRQ into this round, though. They're so out of position. B-side's going to be taken in a second. Plan's going to go down. Got a player watching the flank in mid. and you're still down on numbers for the retake, not to mention the fact that Monyet's working with a Sheriff instead of a rifle, so...
Pat can't die. Don't die.
I think he's fine. He's on the off angle. Nice, easy kill onto Monyet, who's really struggling in this map. You know, I think, you know, it's looked really good for RRQ up to this point, but a lot of that has come off of xFaero, and now that he's maybe slowed down, the fact that he's sort of patching up the holes of, you know, Monyet going 5 and 14, a couple of the other players maybe not quite delivering, is actually starting to be exposed, and GE are now starting to push ahead.
Can't fault that argument. It's just what we're seeing on the server right now. Of course, this round will kind of write it off because it's, you know, a slight eco from RRQ. But how long can we continue to say that? We're near the end or near map point now for GE for this map. So it all comes down to this next round for RQ. Such a crucial one. You have to imagine this is where that timeout really comes into factor. What have the players gleaned in from the coach's intervention? The positional setups are so crucial that you definitely need to see some kind of an early pick or something. If you're buying up an operator, that's what it's for. And Jemkin is positioned towards middle.
4 in a row now for GE. RRQ have to break the streak here. Taking it a little slower though. Straight into middle. Orbs up. Monyet is maybe not the guy that you'd want on this line if the fight's going to happen. He's been struggling. Jemkin going to come across, but loses the duel to Autumn. And Yudatan as well onto Monyet, like I said, has been having a rough game. There's another one for Autumn, so the setup just falls apart for RRQ. 3 individual aim duels won, and that might be the map for GE at this point.
What a way to stabilize. Not gonna lie, this, yes, could be where it all ends.
What the hell, Lee?
Next round, it's quite likely they'll be able to do that much off of it. Although they have had pretty successful thrifty rates before, this is a GE that is now in control. Just careful plays, positions, expecting RQ to be hungry for information, and that's where you find punishment.
I think RRQ have very much been punished in this second half. They came in with some degree of hubris, really. First half looked so good. RRQ were rolling along nicely, but GE able to stabilize, and looks like Breeze will be theirs, though obviously not done yet.
It is their map pick after all.
Yeah, to be expected, I suppose.
That's where you could potentially steer the conversation, I want to say shift, towards Pearl as well. And that's one where you don't see GE playing it that much. RQ has played it quite a bit as well. We'll finish up the hunt and remove that rifle away from Cushy, which is going to be very helpful for this
pretty big
next round.
Yep.
Match point.
What's the money like?
Pretty much
very
broke.
good. Yeah.
Half buys.
Half buy across the board for RRQ. Really nice impact from Autumn and Yudatan to start this round off.
For all the guys kind of reprimands that we had towards Autumn in the first half, he's really stepped back into his own. But here we go. Judge on for Monyet.
Well, straight away over on B, but it's perhaps not going to matter as Jemkin is taken out of this round. It feels like it almost could be considered a victory lap here for GE. Until Patman goes walking right into Monyet, and then Crazy Guy with the headshot onto Autumn. It's not over just yet, though. Yudatan rips the overdrive and tries to get in there nice and quick. Rotate coming through from RRQ is perhaps going to be enough. Cushy for 2. Autumn in the clutch. 1v1. Could get it done right here for GE. Up on the boxes, spotted out, I think maybe by Cushy. Perhaps the shoulder just seen for a second there.
Oh, he's thinking across to pick up the spike.
Has to. Dart.
Ooh.
I mean, obviously knows where roughly he is, and so Cushy takes the push forward and wins the duel. We go again. It's not over yet.
Oh my lord. Oh, Elfish. Isn't this fun? Don't you like casting Valorant?
Yeah, it's fun.
You would have thought that this round belonged to GE. Everyone had light shields. That Outlaw was firing off inside of A main. But unfortunately, somehow, Pat, not quite anticipating that Judge around the corner out by mid, donates one over to Monyet. That becomes more kills. Cushy still popping off. And down to this position at the end, just unfortunate for Autumn. He was not able to cross safely. Perhaps if he tried to wait it out, but tried to go for the fight instead, unfortunately was not able to live to tell the tale. The next round up, though, and that's where you start to worry as well, because G can't afford out towards the rest of the rounds, but it's big setups from RRQ, and they have ultimates as well to weather this storm.
Well, setups can only do so much if there's a good flash toss in. Nobody playing anti there. And GE suffering as a result of it. Hey, I mean, there's a chance we go OT in the first playoffs game of the stage.
Very possible, unless somehow you find the pick.
Patman had been reliable, but again, maybe slowing down a little bit here. Not the time to. Still need another round on the board here for GE, but relying on Crystal and Autumn to try to put it together, and they are pretty aware of Cushy's position, but that doesn't make it any easier to dig out.
Just not happening. 2v5, now a 1v5. The only thing I could say is you don't want to donate these ult points over. Watch out for Crazy Guy, though. He's close to null command.
30 seconds left.
I mean, what can you really do here as Autumn?
Gun here.
See if you can farm up a tour de force, but there's only one round left anyway, so maybe fairly irrelevant. Cushy gets it done. 12-11. OT Brewing, RRQ with a late map resurgence. It's a great setup, the flash into main, isn't it?
It's one that you haven't seen them deploy so far, so can you really blame them for being surprised? But that will be the score. Now you're kind of aware to it, and that is another one where, yes, you test the mentality of the GE players. Are they calm enough to really put together the right calls to finish this out in regulation?
Yeah, the pressure is building, that's for sure. Once again, a slow approach from GE, as we have typically seen on this attack.
Just trying to end up on that B site. You have all the recons, all the potential initiating utility off Udotan, but just for now to break the drone and then go off contact.
Drone's
Come on, man.
gonna spot quite a few. That Hunter's Fury is causing real problems, but Jemkin and Xfero holding strong for the moment. It is a 3-on-3 for the map. GE pushing their way forward. Patman again, this time, might have made the difference, as he had so many times in that first half. Pulls it back to the 2 players only for RRQ, and that plan's gone down.
Reckoning, though. It's gonna obscure vision for now.
Patman just drops down, tries to wait it out. Can't escape this time. Harvey pushing his way forward, gets past Monyet's line, and Monyet, the player that's really been struggling all day long, needs to put it together himself. Smokes off the spike. It's not going to help him out at all. Taps are not fooling anybody. You've still got some shock darts through there as well. Monyet is down. GE will take the map 13-11. It was a valiant effort from RRQ to try to come back at the back end, but GE reigns supreme.
I know, just every single round feels so close to the wire. Neck and neck for a majority of the rounds, but down towards the end, GE once again finds that composure, coming back in, just being able to clutch it out towards the end. Pat finding deeper positions, and that's that little extra edge that unfortunately RRQ was not able to find. They lost that lead in that second half. They started to get a little bit frazzled, and that's quite worrisome.
Yeah, indeed. I think we're going to get a bit of a chat down on the stage with the coaches, so let's hear what they have to say.
Hi guys, I'm standing here with Frost, and throwback to last week where you called the team perpetual throwers. You got us for a second, but you guys take the win on Breeze. What are you thinking right now?
Sometimes we try to end too fast. Sometimes we get in our own heads. Javi makes a great call, knows exactly what's going on. Someone else overcalls. It's just growing pains with a new team. And when you have to win in this league and accelerate everything super fast, sometimes in your development you make mistakes like this. Unlucky.
Right. Well, I mean, before heading on to map 2, you still got to talk to the boys, right? What's the one thing that you want to tell the boys? What's the one keyword you would like to say to them right now?
It's the same thing I say every week. It's composure, because we have the skill. Everybody in this league knows it. But sometimes we're not as composed in moments as we should be, and RRQ showed a lot of that.
Right. Oh, well, I guess they got to, keep calm and win Pearl as well to close today out as 2-0. All right, thank you, Frost, and best of luck to you.
Composure is the name of the game. Global Esports takes the first map, but composure, I would say that's not exactly quite there yet. This was very back and forth, even within the rounds themselves.
It was very close, but they got it across the line. That's the most important thing for me. They're one round away from this going to OT, and it gets a lot more dicey. Someone tell Frost they just won the map, guys.
I mean, I think that tells a lot about what Frost's goals are for this playoffs. Just winning one map over RRQ, winning your map pick is not going to be good enough for him. Even if they win this series, I don't know if that's going to be enough to put a smile on his face. He's a man with lofty goals and expectations, and he doesn't want to see them continue making the same mistakes. But as mentioned, GE do make it across the line, and once again, RRQ 24 rounds minimum. Usually OT, but 24 rounds minimum from them.
This was about as close as it could get. How many of these rounds are breaking down into these one-on-one, two-on-two situations? This was incredibly close for RRQ. You're kicking yourselves, to be honest. You feel like you only need to hit a couple more shots, have a couple different pieces of you to land differently, and you're 1-0 up in this series. Right now, your back is against the ropes.
I'm just reminded of that press con interview where Frost was saying, like, I'm really unhappy with this. I'm so upset. The team did this. And Javi is, like, right beside him laughing, saying, I'm really happy, actually. I feel like that's what's going on also, like, as the team regroups, right, as we prepare for the second map. But 11 to 13, as you mentioned, RRQ just always like these very, very long maps. But because they've actually been one of the more resilient teams here in Pacific, they actually do maintain that composure. Although GE wins this map, it was still neck and neck.
I mean, RRQ gave them a run for their money, particularly on the attacking side. We're going to dive into a little bit more detail about it and how they approached it, but I liked what I saw from them. GE, though, credit to them. Great attacking side from them as well. Really I love the contact approach. It really did throw RRQ off. They were great at finding picks and denying info throughout the map there. Big gains from both of the Vipers, both X-Pharaoh and Patman going all out. Lovely game from Cushy. You did see Unitan actually outperform Jemkin on the Neon as well. He's got a lot more reps on this agent than Jemkin does, and I think Jemkin kind of struggled a little bit more than he would on another agent here.
For sure. I mean, it's always going to be hard if you're playing that single duelist, you're on that Neon, and you're having to contend with a lot of that utility. I do think he was put in some tough spots, but full credit to Global Esports, Their attacker side, I'm right there with you. I really enjoyed how they approached it. They didn't have to show a lot of it against Nongshim, so no surprises that RRQ were not really as ready for that second half.
Yeah, it was, you kind of like mix it up because like you just said like, oh, RRQ won the map or like GE won the map, because it didn't feel like GE won that map very convincingly. Like when it's a shoo-in win and when you know that this team is going to run away with it, we really weren't sure even up until those last few rounds who was going to take it.
I will say for me, it makes me feel a little bit better about Global Esports. I felt like if these games were going to go down to the wire, they would always lean RRQ's way. So it going the distance and Global Esports getting the win means they should be feeling confident moving into map 2.
Yeah, so I wanted to touch a little bit more about RRQ's attacking side, though, because they did opt to start attack into GE's defensive comp, and they played quite well in terms of playing quite passively. They waited for GE to make the first move a lot of the time, and they were often able to find picks. Something else that I really liked that they did, I mean, you see in this round just the Sheriff singing out as they sit back in spawn side and GE shot down the middle of the map, but I like the way they worked elbow control and denied info over here on towards Nest, as well as on towards this elbow position and deep up into B tons. This was something that Nongshim didn't do very much. Nongshim was a lot of A main and B main control and then straight into the sides. But you see this Orb and the Cove denying all of that info. You have the defensive wall from GE, and they just have no info on the middle of the map in a lot of these rounds. And RRQ does a really good job denying that info, which baits out aggressive pushes like this one in the mid round. And X-Pharaoh was fantastic at denying some of those pushes on the lurk.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was a really, really clear game plan from the side of RRQ of how to counter this kind of heavy stopping composition. And you know, it's all about denying information. It's all about forcing GE to come fight you where you are instead of you walking into their utility.
You see another mid-walk here from GE. Drone goes up in there. You get a little TikTok wall over the top from GE, but Xfero again is sitting back in spawn. There's the drone through with both the Cove and the Orb denying info, and then RRQ once again, they just push straight into the site. Here's a great example of how they mix up the piece. This is a quick A set piece that they did. They also have a B set piece that they did in the early round just to be able to get faster into the site. So they mix up going for these quick rounds as well as these slow kind of pacier defaults where they're going up elbow and up the middle of the map. I really liked how they mixed things up on this attacking side, and it worked quite well for them. I think if their defense was just a hair better, or maybe you got a slightly better game out of Mon yet, they probably would have won Breeze.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought after this first off, it was definitely going to go RRQ's way. I think GE did a great job to keep composed and stay in it in that second half. That's not an easy skill against such a talented team like RRQ, so I think GE should really be holding their heads high.
Yeah, but let's look at these two players right now. The Viper matchup was just chef's kiss on this map. You had Patman and Xfero really putting up the numbers.
These are two defining players in the league right now for me. Xfero's in some of the best form I've seen from him in quite a while. It feels like since Tokyo Finals and that season, Xfero's just gone from strength to strength, and he's the longest standing member of RRQ. He really is their tokenistic player at this point. For Patman, I mean, he just does things that a lot of other players can't do in this league, especially on such a flexible role. When he's feeling himself, like the multi-frags just come so easily and he could just win you rounds and games.
I mean, we heard it from Frost, right? I was asking which players really come alive in these high-stakes kind of matches, in high-pressure situations, and he said, it's inevitable, Pat.
Yeah.
He shows the numbers. He actually does perform. He loves playing in environments like this. Now, though, we're moving over to Pearl. And speaking of Pat, he did have a lot of very memorable plays last time, you know, GE were on this map, but RRQ here, this is their map pick.
It's a much better map for RRQ. We can see that they've picked it 5 times there. You know, it's not always been successful, but it's a map that they feel like they understand well enough to pick. Global Esports less so. They were running that Teo last time.
I love how you said it's a great map pick for them. I mean, they're losing to some of the best teams in the league, guys. So look, at the end of the day, that's going to happen, but they do have a lot of chances of picking it. The thing for me on the side of GE is their defense was actually quite good against KRX. Yes. Even if they ended up losing that game. They were 8-4 on the defense. They ended up going 0-9 on attack to lose to KRX. So their attack was much better than we saw previously on that game of Breeze. If they could keep up the good attack side calling, they have a chance to 2-0 here on Pearl.
Yeah, I mean, I don't discount that at all. I mean, I just wonder, like, what these teams, of course, you know, this is the first match into playoffs, so, like, how much are these teams going to be changing their performance? It could still change up, but we did see a little bit of frustration on the side of Frost. I wonder what Jovi is thinking. So let's send it to the stage with Bella and Jovi standing by.
Well, I'm here with RRQ's coach Jovi. Well, we saw how Breeze went. It was very dicey till the end, but you know, GE taking the win on that. What were you telling the boys just now?
Just got to play our game, focus on ourselves, not giving them the kills and those opening picks, because that's really what it came into. So we just have to make sure that we control how we want to play.
I mean, regarding the game, how it went, did Frost throw any curveballs your way, do you think?
No, we had a good understanding of how they wanted to play, so that we weren't surprised. It was more little things on our end.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that it didn't go overtime first map. Yeah.
Would have been nice right now.
All right, thank you, Jovi, and best of luck to you on Pearl.
Thank you.
Very nearly, though. We all thought it was actually going to go into an overtime, but I totally agree with Jovi. It didn't look like RRQ was very surprised by what they brought up, but it was just those little moments, which, you know, many might say is like characteristic of RRQ.
Yeah, need to see them bounce back on their own map pick of Pearl here. Global Esports one map away from moving forward. Take a look at the compositions. Global Esports swapping it up stylistically. Autumn is across onto that Phoenix, so it's double duelist from them now. This to me feels like a move to shore up that attacker side where it was weak against KRX.
We got some changes for both teams as well. We're still running the chamber here on Jemkin, but I believe Kushi Sky and Xfero Killjoy is a little bit of a change up from what a lot of teams are running at the moment over here on this particular map. This looks like T1's comp actually, so we'll see if the pairing of the Sky with the Neon is going to be a good one between Cushy and Monyet, because right now Stacks and Buzz for me are kind of setting the standard for how you're playing that combo right now. And even T1 swapped away from this comp saying this comp is kind of bad, which is, we'll see if RRQ can pilot it a little bit better, I guess.
Well, it probably stuck with them after that last match, right? But we'll see if
on this little bit of a change up from Jemkin, but I believe Cushy, Sky, and Xfero Killjoy is a little bit of a change up from what
number 2, and it is all on the line now for RRQ. Obviously dropping map 1. That road to Vietnam, that road to Ho Chi Minh, looking a little bit longer here for Crazy Guy, but it might not be the end of that road. Of course, there is still a lower bracket as well, Quack, but you'd much rather go through the top side of the bracket. And I'm quite eager to get into this because it seems like there's been a bit of cookage over there on the global esports side. We've got that double duelist. You saw, obviously, the Des mentioning that as well. Autumn in onto the Phoenix. It's exciting. He actually traditionally used to be a duelist player, so, you know, I'm sure he knows his way around it.
This is definitely just a big melting pot right now for both sides, because G definitely cooking as well, though, as they push out all the way inside of A main.
I mean, the other question, obviously, is are we going to get to Ascent, right? That's a tantalizing prospect, too. But that is a bit of a ways away as we head deep into this pistol, and Yudotan will be the first one to draw blood. Crazy Guy down out on the other side of the map. I mean, you've still got a second player here. You wouldn't be expecting 2 to be covering the flank. So Xfero's going to be good for 1, but does fall to Patman. The spike plant going down on the B side in the meanwhile, and it's just an absolute mess. This pistol fights all over the place, little skirmishes here and there, but we, as the dust settle, find ourselves in a 2-on-3. At this stage, GE, I'm too sure exactly where RRQ are sitting at the moment. You have one back calls. Cushy will need to hit his first shot here. He's spotted out the barrel. Oh, he's got the chance for the double. The right clicks do enough. And he finds Patman. Awkward timing, of course, on the reload, but still gets a bit of damage off before he falls. And that sets Jemkin up for success. It's exactly what RRQ need. A pistol in the second round. Sorry, in the second map to get things going. Patman just has no chance here at all, as Jemkin will finish it off. RRQ get that pistol and get underway.
Oh my god, make no mistake, Cushy is the hero of this round. Jemkin, of course, while living on his own moments, but just the way it all happens is, once again, G recognized pushing out very clear protocols. He almost whittled it down to the numbers game. RRQ quickly recognizing to push out onto CT as well, which is where, you know, unfortunately Monyet does fall. But it gives them that extra position. They would never have expected Jemkin to be, you know, blocked up by that smoke. And even though the tap comes in, it's just more positions that G hasn't really contended with before. Next round up, and once again, G still being proactive on the defense.
Well, early days. GE can't afford to get too worried just yet. Claiming that old Torb outside at A.
Yes.
Gonna get a flash around the corner, maybe not actually, as they do just decide to go dry. Won't really matter too much, of course, as RRQ are all set up over towards B. Bar Xfero, who again is watching for that flank. And again, gets himself a 1-for-1. I think everything so far kind of going to plan for RRQ.
Yeah, as long as they don't lose more rifles, it probably shouldn't happen, but you can already tell what G's game plan is. It centers around a lot onto Autumn and this Phoenix. You always want to take that A main orb, farm up towards the alt points, or the alt, in fact, and then just come in for strong retakes off of it. He's already done pretty well, but I don't think it's enough for, unless he finds more kills, you know, a round 3 alt, which usually would be the best launching pad for teams. Nonetheless, so this time around, just the musket shots with that Marshall. Cushy being able to finish off with the 3K.
It's a great start to the map. It's already got those Seekers farmed up, so very, very quick charge. 5 and 1.
Yeah, 1 point away for Autumn. So it makes you think about, does G go back towards A main again, build up towards that orb? And what's RRQ's reaction to that going to be? Do they just sack the A site, rush it down B? Set up around the spike instead? Do they have players contend for the A orb? And that's kind of looking like what they are trying to do, especially when you have Crazy Guy on the Astra. You got stars all around.
Yeah. It's a minefield of stars.
Play Minesweeper. Maybe not.
It's not going to be that quick, aggressive play outside of A. In fact, you've still got a couple of players back in the defensive spawn, just sort of milling around, trying to figure out where do we want to go, where do we want to set up. It's going to be towards B that we do have The 3 players stacked up. Jemkin making a bit of noise, and the double swing is going to come through. Jemkin just pushed away as a result. Doesn't have any backup over on this side of the map, so most assuredly will be going down. The question is, what is RRQ doing in the meanwhile with all the information that Jemkin's getting? And that is pushing into middle.
Tried to find that port of call over to the A side with the Seekers, but Autumn has to run it back now.
Whoa! Batman dealing with it quite nicely. Dodges the flash as well, and he can't quite get away with one more as Crazy Guy gets him in the side. But overall, solid enough hold so far from GE. See what Crazy Guy can put together. Push out actually here from Crystal. Crazy Guy will not be prepared for that, so GE claim their first round. And it doesn't take them long to get into the conversation either, does it?
Yeah, lovely, lovely conditioning work and how GE is able to play around it. Pass-through rounds, you know, it's always that A-main fight. This time around, you kind of send RRQ back over onto the B side, and that's where they find a kill on Jemkin, a little bit inconsequential because it's on a Marshall, but then you end up back over across middle, and that's where most of it breaks apart because G has control over connector, G has control over stairs, and that's a tough choke point for RRQ to break out of once G already gets a good read across the map. At the same time, Autumn has that run it back, he's still keeping it in his pocket, can use it for the next rounds. RRQ though, comes in with their own approach. First time with a full force into A main, something that G hasn't really spotted out yet, but they will now with the haunt going through.
Jemkin looking for it. For now, Patman not pushing forward, but I think he will in a second. Curveball's going to come around the corner. Flash lands. Autumn out of the picture. Obviously not a problem just yet. And it allows GE to take that space. So it's a nice usage of the run it back. Pushes RRQ away. And it's going to force them to retake it with only a minute left on the clock if they want to go A, which it kind of seems they do.
Yeah, makes things really, really tumultuous for RRQ. And that's what's lovely about how G's approaching this map currently. Force RRQ to spend utility, spend, you know, players or timing just to take forward space.
It's going to be a really late take on the A site. 40 seconds and they're still clearing outside of A.
It all comes down to the picks. If Jemkin's somehow able to find one in all that chaos, well, Monyet just sacrifices his body for the cause. Yudotan on the other side of the judge.
Well, here we go. Yudotan inside of the smoke, just going to be able to grab himself the 1-for-1. Monyet out though, and Patman doesn't seem to be too aware of it, so that'll be another freebie that actually starts to stabilize this round a little bit for RRQ. Plans now down as well. Fast retake though, because GE already across, both Autumn and Crystal finding themselves a pick, and down to just Crazy Guy now. This round has kind of fallen apart. It's kind of disappeared for RRQ. It was maybe a little bit too telegraphed. Damage done onto Crazy Guy will make this impossible. He is going to hightail it. He's getting out of there. So another round here for GE, and the defuse will go over to Crystal.
You really just want to hold on to this rifle for the next round where your team's most likely going to be broke. Not gonna lie, Elfish, this is where I want to sound alarm bells for RQ. I know it's really early on, but just from what we're seeing right now, apart from the pistols, GE is just doing so much.
Yeah, I like this round a lot for GE. Very, very proactive on the defense. Never really felt like RRQ got settled. They were always a little bit uncomfortable, and even in the back end there, that time pressure starts to come into play as well.
And that's the thing as well.
Round.
If you're seeing, you know, RQ's composition, double Sentinel, it's really tough for them to find entry into sites. I know T1's played this, but, you know, Bust Stacks is a little bit different from Monyet Cushy. So you really need to find these quick entries. And you really need to be able to set each other up, especially with Monyet, the tip of the spear. GE once again though, off to this round, just taking all that space up, B long, they can set up off around it. Meanwhile, RRQ just trying to find as much as possible, scout out towards the middle, you know, prevent G from circling around them, especially around these connector, you know, B-link spots, or at least to leave Jemkin on that deep insert. They actually pivot back towards B long, and if they are able to take down Yudotan, this could be workable. Yudotan does well to play cautious and head back off slight timings.
Yeah, Yudotan still want to be a little bit careful here. Fast lane should just get him out. Obviously tough to hit the Neon at that kind of range. So again though, you know, you look at the space that's taken by GE and RRQ having to push in now with 30 seconds on the clock, continuing to be pushed away there.
Oh, man.
I mean, where can you go with 25 seconds? Like, they have zero map control. This round's a sham.
Run into A site. Lockdown already prepared by GE.
You can't. What are you going to do? You're going to lose the round. That's what's going to happen here. Well, we'll see. Maybe. Monyet with that entry. But Unitad farming up a storm. I mean, I think we all kind of knew where this one was going. This was just such a doomed round for RRQ, and they are looking in all sorts on this attack. I kind of want to see a timeout here, and I want to see it soon.
Yeah. Feels necessary. But
this was a half buy, to be fair.
Yes. If anything that we can say off of this half buy, or that hero rifle, brought over from the previous round, RRQ forced GE to spend, quite some key utilities or ultimates as well, especially with that lockdown coming in. You wouldn't mind it if your GE just continue to build up on those rounds, and we will see that timeout coming in. But apart from that, once again, it's just GE working this map to a treat. Just setting up 4 walls around RRQ, and everywhere that RRQ turns to, they just get blocked off.
Exactly, and this is what we wanted, though. The timeout coming through gives the chance for coaching staff to have some kind of input, because clearly something's not working in the server right now for RRQ. They need a bit of additional help. I think that was very much obvious to us, to everyone that's watching. But, I mean, that's a lot to fix in, 30 seconds, right? So we'll see what they can put together with this conversation.
I am quite curious, because the main issue right now is the fact that if they spend utility to take back forward space, especially with Cushy's flashes or Monyet diving in, sliding perhaps with Relay Bolt, that's quite costly, and that hurts your chances of taking down the actual site itself. So if you're somehow able to maybe work off the operator, and maybe perhaps that's what they're trying to angle towards, go in a little bit faster with the quick pace switch-ups that we've seen at the previous map, that could be something that GE doesn't expect, but then again, let's listen in.
I just want you guys. East, I kept Afros. I think. Cap. Nothing guy, guys, nothing guy. Check Alabon, check Alabon, check Alabon. He's small mid, guys, he's small mid. Can you cap? Can
tell it. Yeah, it's a player that GE wants. Just again, controlling that A main orb forces RQ back, and they're trying to pivot off to something else now. Maybe towards B, where Crystal is, but he's got the entire site booby trapped.
It does sound like pretty frantic comms from RRQ, but I suppose that's kind of what they always sound like, so maybe I don't want to read into it too much.
What are you trying to say about Southeast Asian teams?
No, I mean, they just talk fast, man. They should be on the caster desk with us.
Fair enough. I love that.
They got the gift of the gab. I'll give them that.
All the way over onto stairs and Art now, though. GE trying to get a little bit more proactive once again. They could be punished for it.
Well, big push here for GE, and you wouldn't be expecting it necessarily. Xfero catches one, Monyet the other. Autumn caught with the util in hand, and that is very awkward, but still a 2-man setup here. The high-low, not going to be good enough as that flash comes through. That's good recovery from RRQ. Harvey still trying to fight his way forward, knows that he needs to do something about it if there was ever to be a chance in this round. Of course, doesn't happen, so Spike down, 2v4. Seems like RRQ might have cracked the nut open in this case.
A good way for them to stabilize the score line. I don't see this being too possible for G unless somehow Crystal is able to find a flank, but at this point it should just be exit frag positions. An operator preserved for RQ as well. I mean, similar approach to what we saw over on Breeze, right? Just a bit of noise, and then sitting down, baiting out our GE into the open, where you find that punish, and more alt points being taken up as well. No exits found for GE.
3-3, another tight map. Didn't get the OT for RRQ in the previous, which is, I think, what everyone was sort of hoping for.
Yeah.
But we might get it again. Might get the opportunity for it again here.
Quite possible. At least for the next round, though, while RQ tries to find some momentum, GE should still be able to buy back up and continue to play around the map. It's more conditioning towards A main once again. It forces some of RQ's resources and Crazy Guy to constantly think about this A main position. So it's quite crucial for Jemkin to be able to find whatever he's looking for on this B site.
Yeah. I mean, it's a similar setup again for GE. Take that A space, start to pivot your extra players over towards mid, over towards B. And RRQ not going anywhere quickly at the moment.
Oh. I think they're starting to expect GE to be a bit more investigative outside of middle. And that's where they could find some punish.
Crystal, you'd think, should have the advantage in this duel with the judge up close and personal, but neither player really connecting. So everyone goes walking away happily.
Ooh. And look at this approach, hugging the wall, looking for the launching pad into B site.
Relay ball goes through. Monyet's going to be spotted out as well. No picks it just yet. Harvey comes into play for the double. That might be enough to just settle the nerves a little here for GE. They're happy to play it slow. Play for that retake if necessary.
Cushy.
Ooh, okay. That might make things a bit more interesting. Killjoy ult timing out now, and that'll be the go signal for GE. Yutatan forward, deleted. That overdrive is absolutely nothing. And Crystal, a bit of a whiff as well. Now it's onto Patman, who, again, I will reiterate, has been so reliable for GE. But how many times can you ask him to save the day? Here's another one. 14 seconds to try to get that plant. Patman can try to isolate a 1v1 in that timing. Cushy's down. He knows where Monyet is. 1 HP. Surely it's Patman on for it once again, but he backs away and gets it done. Patman, he does it again and again and again.
How has he done that with a one-tap? I would have thought maybe you swap over to the Classic or something if you have the info, but he does it with a one-tap for the Red Bull clutch. This is incredible. The player plucked up from somewhat tier 2 over onto KRX, now over onto GE, where he's just delivering games and rounds for this team. Look at how it all happens again. I mean, great entries, great way to play around the conditioning off the map. RRQ ends up over on this B site. Yudotan tries to find that quick entry back in, and Monyet just pulls out a multi-kill out of nowhere. Quick swings and living up to his name as the monkey. But still, Pat comes in and isolates those duels. The next round comes up and RRQ still has bank.
I think Pat's probably unbeatable in the clutch at the moment. He's just so confident right now. And it is really a confidence game. Flash avoided there by Autumn, and he delivers the double, or maybe just a little bit more than that. GE getting some momentum off the back of that Patman clutch, and they are really putting RRQ to the sword.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for RRQ. You're just starting to pick up some steam, and then all of a sudden you're on that chopping block. Not what you want to have. The one round where you suddenly decide to take and contest for that A main control, but Autumn pulls this off. He's been somewhat quiet for the most rounds, but suddenly comes up huge again, and he has another ultimate. So this round, G's not sweating.
I mean, I think that's a brilliant thing really about Autumn in this team, is that at the moment, the way that it's kind of set up is you don't necessarily need that from him on a regular basis, right? You're getting enough out of Yutatan, you're getting enough out of Patman, and then as a third fragger, if Autumn kind of has those moments, I know it's maybe a little bit different now that he's on the duelist, but you know, last map even there was like 2 or 3 rounds where Autumn just pops off, has like a 3K round or a 4K round, and those are
30 seconds left.
really big difference makers in the sort of flow of the game.
Yeah.
And that is maybe why you see GE get over the line 13-11. If he's not doing that on maybe 1, 2, 3 rounds in the map, whether or not he's having impact in a lot of the other rounds is potentially a moot point, because he's kind of getting it done.
I guess it's kind of what you need sometimes,
left.
isn't it? I mean, of all these successful pieces, everyone has their role and everyone has their job to do, like what Frost said in that little playoffs trailer. But Autumn is one of those guys who just is able to suddenly show up. You don't think of him too often. It was a Chamber, rather quiet. Yoru, he had some, you know, effective moments back in kickoff. But suddenly here today, and this is another thing that perhaps RRQ hasn't quite prepared for or thought about, is this comp switch up from Global. Autumn onto the Phoenix, where he's able to go a little bit more proactive. Coming with flashes, and yes.
I mean, that's true though. Like, he probably shouldn't get 3 there, right? Like, at the end of the day, that needs to be traded a little bit better.
Alas, it is what it is, and RRQ are now somewhat broke. Jenkins still has the off, but he's been spotted.
Yeah, you can see GE again kind of
playing
with that confidence. And happy to try to chase down Jemkin. I mean, it's space taken here by Yutatan, but Seeker's going to find him. And Jemkin will pluck him out of the game for now. Site's going to be taken over on A, so kind of blows up in the face of GE, that aggression.
The huge cosmic divide, really deep towards the back end of CT as well. Have more smokes and shotguns, traps being set up. It's going to be tough for G to clear it.
Monyet gets rid of Autumn, but he's in run-it-back mode, so he's not going to be having too many problems about that. 4v4 is going to ensue as GE starts to push their way in onto the site. They have got nobody to find, but that Cosmic Divide is going to cut everybody from RRQ out of the site. Defuse very much on offer right now. Patman and Harvey finding themselves some picks, and the defuse is started. Flash onto Autumn is a good one. He can't escape back behind the wall in time, but the defuse, just about cancelled. GE get it done. I mean, that wall made all the difference.
Suddenly, quickly deployed by Javi. He almost got caught by Crazy Guy as well, but just heard the footsteps in time to land the op flick. But the moment that really had me on the edge of my seat was that defuse at the end. The kill still secured, but just a hair too late. I mean, what an incredible round for RRQ.
I think that's a great Cosmic Divide. It just cut all 4 of those RRQ players out of the round. And to push their way in, very awkward this time. Faster, and Autumn unable to deal with Monyet, who's bouncing around all over the place. It's the Guiding Light and Monyet that get the job done. RRQ back with a vengeance here into round 10.
And unfortunately, a little bit more weaker now. GE just trying to pick up the pieces.
One enemy remaining.
But Patman not able to survive. Just Javi on the operator trying to hold on to it.
Time to hunt.
I mean, what a quick round. All of a sudden, RRQ decides to switch up the pace, push down into Art, something they haven't done so far. And it's Monyet who turns this map into his playground.
Any extra kills here that Harvey's able to get could still be pretty impactful. See if he can maybe pull off another Cosmic Divide before the half is over. Obviously, he'd like to just hold on to this Phantom for now. Crazy Guy coming in behind. Doesn't look like he's going to check for it. So
it looked like he juggled that off away.
Were you ever any good at hide and seek as a kid? Did you play that? Apparently, Harvey's pretty good at it.
Yeah, Harvey's amazing. I'm terrible.
Really?
It's too big. I'd be spotted out around the edges. No, I'm just joshing around, but as you look through the rounds again, it's RRQ's ability to be that flexible and switch up the pace on a dime. Meanwhile, though, for GE to try to find that correction once again, unfortunately this time a little bit more broke. We'll kind of see how they approach it this time around. They've been proactive, and that's been their game plan. RRQ's been starting to bait them out now more into the open, but go back towards farming alt orbs and then back up on the B side again.
I would hesitate to guess that GE's pretty much taken every single alt orb outside of 8 for this entire half. So they've been certainly getting their values worth out of that conditioning. Quick rotate over. Brings Autumn to B.
I think that's the thing about RRQ, though. They're happy to let that go. They leave Jemkin on that insert, and that's always going to mean that B is an available option to them. And if that happens, they take down a place like mid. They'll be able to pivot off into the A side if necessary. Jemkin becomes a lurk. Or you end up back again on the B side in a B split. And that's one where G might not be able to respond back well enough. At least the smoke kind of deters them from the site for now. Yudotan's still trying to be sneaky around with the Bucky.
GE's really hoping for a B hit here. They're not going to get it.
Blinded.
Flash is going to go over the top of A. That's going to draw the attention of Patman. Meanwhile, Yudotan not having any luck in that fight against Monyet. This is where Patman really has to have another one of those X-Factor rounds, and he could with 20 seconds on the clock if he's not cleared, which he's not quite properly by Monyet. That'll be a judge in his hand and impossible to make use of it. So RRQ navigating things well enough thus far. Still the retake yet to come. It's not a whole lot for GE. There should be a 5th for RRQ. Awesome. Last man standing.
Watch your eyes.
Some damage, but nothing more than that. So RRQ up to a 5th. GE
Last round
would love to get that 7-5 lead. I think it'll be a really stable position to be in at the halftime break.
Yeah, just A slight consolation prize for Autumn, if anything. He's once again 2 away from the run it back. But thinking about the round once again, I mean, although Yudotan does manage to slow them down somewhat, again, it's just RRQ always leaving these options available for themselves. And you're starting to see Monyet be a little bit more proactive now. So let's listen in to how G might find the response in this final round.
Can we dog him and we... Can you fake star belong now? Star now. Stop. Dogging. They dog like... Oh. On top!
Same push coming through from GE, and similar result. It doesn't work out this time at all. They've just tried to cook a little bit too hard in these kinds of rounds back, and sometimes too many cooks spoil the broth, as they say, and it seems like GE might be spoiling their first half a little bit here with aggressive plays.
You are absolutely right, because this actually might end in a 6-6. They spent the lockdown in the previous round as well. A little bit over-eager this time. They have to somehow scrounge together a 3v5. Both flashes and all utilities spent already.
How do you get in? I mean, there's just smokes everywhere. Autumn with a nice pick onto Kushi, and he did push Jemkin out of position with the molly, but it's still not enough. It's going to be a tough road back in here for GE. They're just going to have to frag out, and that has not happened. Tough crossfire to break, impossible crossfire to break, one might say. So Crystal will do what he's going to be able to, but realistically, I think we all kind of know which way this round is going. RRQ are not giving him even a sliver. He's going to pretty much just give it up. He knows this one is done and dusted. There's an extra kill just for good measure, but realistically speaking, 6-6 was always on the cards there, and RRQ, I think, will be pretty happy with that recovery, given the half was looking a little awkward for them at one point at that 6-3 scoreline.
Yeah, good recovery. I mean, that's the difference in, I think, experience of the two teams sometimes. That one split-second decision in round number 11, where the lockdown comes in, could have been the difference maker in this round. If you had a lockdown, that could be a whole different retake. But unfortunately, it came down to those flashes from Autumn, and that's where you kind of applaud the attempt at a retake, but you end up shaking your head in dismay at the current scoreline, because once again, we're back to an even footing for both sides, where the pistol has such a heavy weightage. You kind of think about maybe G has had a lot of successful pistols despite losing to teams like KRX and PaperX, but can that same performance be put forth today? These are easy poses still.
These are easy poses. I reckon you could do these.
You could as well.
We should get the camera on Quack. He would love to do a pose.
Okay, nice. Way to throw me under the bus, buddy. Let's put Pilsky somewhere on this.
Yeah, get Pilsky down there. He'd be having a great time with the poses. Make him flex. I think he's got big muscles these days. He's been going to the gym. Question is, which of these two teams have been going to the gym here in this halftime break? Because, you know, RRQ and Global very evenly matched right now. So, you know, any extra little bit of conversation in that 30-40 seconds that they have is a big difference maker.
And I think that's the main factor for today's game as well. Whether or not we go to that third map, which, again, would be fun, but you want to see them perform well. Main thing is they always need to be able to keep their wits about them, keep their heads screwed on. Once you start to get a little bit over-eager, a little bit too relaxed, that's where things can fall apart. This time around, once again, a main control for GE.
Just backing up RRQ, giving the space. And again, GE loves those A ult orbs.
Slurp them up. Back over onto middle. And that's where there's more utility, more traps from RRQ, just to try to slow GE down.
RRQ looking to retake the space, but Javi is there to harass them a little bit. Flash around the corner. Monyet chasing. Oh! Doesn't matter. Javi happy to take his head off, and that is a lot of space that has been created for GE. Trouble is they've lost a player in transition, so Spike will get planted over on A. This is an important peek for Yudotan, who doubles down out of nowhere. The round flips back on its head. Crazy Guy pushing his way straight into Autumn's crosshair, and RRQ, the round will fall apart. It's all on the shoulders of Xfero, who, again, has been good, but now been spotted out. And so you'd think it will be a little bit too much to ask. This high-low setup should have it. Good shot, but a 1v3 it does not make. 7-6, GE take the second half pistol.
They have courage, but no one is
Almost flicked 180 fully, though. What a guy, Xfero. Still, you're absolutely right. just looking at how these kills go through, and I hate to do it to the guy, but you have to kind of put Monyet into that hot seat. He's the main player to be able to find that forward space or, you know, further space outside of the spike plant. And if he goes down, that's just more information, more spacing for GE to play off of, and that's where they're able to set up off that spike towards the back end. Next round comes up, and they're going in with a buy that kind of allows them to play with reserves over onto the next round as well. It's a full intention over onto B this time around.
There's a heavy B stack here from RRQ. GE will not want to make the mistake of pushing in here. Autumn deals with Crazy Guy. So that's a start. Gets himself another ult orb. So they're really trying to funnel the ult charge into the run it back.
You know, with the Bulldog as well, I mean, that's potentially more kills. You have Crystal on that deep insert. So another option back over onto A site. RRQ has the same exact idea. This could be a bloodbath.
Quick play into where you don't want to be doing a quick play into is probably what I would call that round. Not a very good one, unfortunately, for RRQ, and this second half is kind of just going a little bit pear-shaped for them. Obviously, early days, but don't want to be giving GE any real advantages, especially given how strong they were at coming back from a bit of a tighter deficit in the previous map. It feels like GE are in command right now.
And for the first 2 rounds, if the first half is any, I guess, inkling as to how the rest of this could go, I mean, then we're meant to have RQ strike back. But for now, we're just not really seeing any exploration and ideas towards that kind of direction just yet. I mean, we're seeing Monyet trying to dive forward. He's always the first one to the fight, but the first one out as well. That's not what you want to have. Back again into A main, and GE are poised for this fight.
Not really going to be a fight presented, though. Run it back will be invested. It's been charged up again incredibly quickly by Autumn, who will just try and get a bit of info in onto the site. Has not seen anything, but he's got the wall out, and he has drawn out a bit of defensive util there as well, which I think GE's happy with. You know, they're not using that as a commitment. They're just trying to unsettle RRQ a little bit. Jemkin now out in no man's land. Awkward fight for him, and Patman takes his head off with the Sheriff.
Such confidence.
Patman not too eager to overcommit, though, through the smoke into B.
Yeah, he's got a rifle now, mate. And then you've got G back over onto A main, running circles around RRQ. It's just Cushy here to try to slow it down.
Would this be the nail in the coffin, potentially, for RRQ if they lose to this bonus? Molly has pushed Cushy back. Not taken out just yet. Unitán. Oh! He's all over the place, and it's impossible to hit, but Crazy Guy can't hold on either. Monyet in. Gets the double, and that will be the defuse, you'd think. Patman's going to try and deny. The smoke fades, and Monyet wins a critical round for RRQ. Way too close for comfort, though.
Truly, but still a welcome hero play nonetheless. I mean, what on earth? For every failed first kill in so many of these rounds or in engagements, somehow he's able to pull this out of the hat. Starts things off from backside and then pushes all the way up front. Able to, you know, slice the pie bit by bit. But it's the fact that he kind of anticipates Pat as well, and it manages to land that final shot. That could have been Pat's round had he whiffed somehow. So, a bit of a launching pad for RRQ, but GE able to buy back up as well. And G once again just trying to do their best all the way work around the map. Whoa! I just...
What? You don't need to say anything else. I think the reaction says it all. That was kind of nutty from Jemkin, right?
Huh?
That's perfect pre-fire, perfect accuracy. Pre-aim, I should say. Well, Autumn is going to try and salvage it. Wall goes up. Entry into B will be allowed off the back of that. He'll get that curveball around the corner to try and take a bit of that space. Dog misses. Monyet backing away, but GE are starting to recover this round. Forget about Jemkin. Now it's all about Monyet with that overdrive, and he gets nothing done. Hold on. How can Jemkin start a round like that, and then you still lose? Surely not RRQ. Cosmic Divide down. Xfero unheard, but spotted in the end as Crystal takes him out of the air. That is criminal from RRQ to lose a round like that.
So many thoughts. I mean, still GE just having those retake protocols, just scavenging a 3v5. And it begins with Autumn.
Oh.
I mean, this one, I wanted to make a joke. My monkey brain just tells me, yeah, I'm just going to do it anyway.
I just want to see it again. Can we see it again?
Yeah, my reaction to that would be, well, slow-mo replay, but also check his PC. Jemkin has some kind of, software. I'm kidding, of course. But Monyet has some kind of a bug in his PC. One round he's doing amazing things. The next round, even with overdrive and everything, he's just fumbled the bag. And then G is able to find more plays, more setups around this side off of it. And that's another round where Autumn finds more multi-kills to put himself on top. So the next round comes up and it's going to be a timeout because, unfortunately, well, GE, as much as they feel in control, they're seeing some mistakes, potential plays where, RRQ is able to play spoiler. Kind of want to work around or be a little bit more careful with how you're able to take forward space. Yes, you want to leave, players like maybe Javi or, I don't know, Pat on some deep insert somewhere, but if it's not safe enough, you're just sacrificing numbers to the cause.
Lots to cheer about for the GE fans in the crowd. That is a really massive round to win. RRQ are broke. They've got no tools in this round at all. No ultis really to work with. Okay, maybe Crazy Guy gets the Cosmic Divide or Jemkin gets a couple and pulls out the Tour de Force, but this just feels like a pretty doomed round here for RRQ, does it not? GE should have a 10-7 lead, and that is a pretty commanding lead in the context of this series, which has been so damn close. Jemkin forced away.
Go, go, go.
Usually you could rush him seeing just a lone chamber about that smoke.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to see that necessarily out of GE. They haven't really been a fast team so far in this series. If anyone was going to do it, maybe it would be RRQ on the attack, right? But GE have had this methodical style. Even
Take
on
those
threes.
orbs back over onto A main. Good drone on the timing though, but it gets shut down and suddenly you're starting to think, RRQ, when are you going to pivot back? Find those rotations.
Well, Prowlers don't spot anybody. Cushy will try to get back on the line, but just a little bit terrified. And again, GE are just playing this back and forth game. They are really playing ring around the rosy with RRQ. How many times we've seen them pressure one side of the map, pressure the other side of the map, go back to the initial side of the map.
Yes. I mean, if you look at Crazy Guy's utility now, he's surely but slowly starting to run out of smokes, and that's going to be an open site for G to kick down those doors.
It's a good gamble, though, for RRQ. They're going to have 4 or 5 players over on this side, so maybe there's something in that if the entries don't go the way of GE. Fortunately, so far, so good. Monyet traded out. That's fine as far as GE are concerned. The Patmen deleted by Jemkin. That makes things a little bit more interesting. Cosmic Divide still not there for Crazy Guy. Tour de Force still missing for Jemkin as well. But one kill here for maybe Crazy Guy could really make a big difference if he can put down a big wall for the defuse. We'll see. Not quite going to happen in the end, as it is held onto by GE. 10-7 indeed the scoreline. Got a little bit hairier than you might have liked it to have. But it's a stable spot to be in.
And stable is that key word. I mean, rounds like this, if you overplay your hand, it's very easy to kind of lose your head over it. But taking a look at how this plays out, in fact, G kind of regains or maintains that composure. Recognizing, all right, it's eco, I'm going to play it safe, I'm going to stay in my portion of the site, not going too far overextended towards the back where there could be pistols, there could be shotguns, and they would be right. Next round coming up, though, and it's Jemkin with Tour de Force.
Oh, Harvey deleted. Not much you can do about that one, and Yudatan unable to find the quick trade, so that is going to prompt GE to try something a little bit quicker here. Autumn, run it back. Dealt with by Jemkin, but Patman and Yudatan have taken so much space on the site that RRQ already still feeling a little bit under the pressure. Monyet wants to try and claim it back, but he's pushed away by the Nightfall. And this round falling apart for RRQ. I'm getting a good feeling for GE. Another on the board, 11-7, their first time as an organization in the playoffs. And it might not just be a, hey, we're here for a party. It might actually be, hey, we're here to go the distance.
They really could. This is very encouraging for GE fans all around. I mean, the sudden switch up to pick up the pace, and that's what this comp is. Coach Frost trying to play that tempo game. You have Autumn on run it back duty, And despite getting taken down through smokes, they just rush it down, deal with whatever comes, and they shove Jemkin off of that op line. That makes all the difference. Forces RRQ's hand into trying to play for a retake where they're working off of lesser resources. Really unfortunate for this team that has been so incredible at running through overtimes, running through multiple comebacks. But at this stage, at this point in time, it doesn't feel like they have much else left in the tank. You look at the guns they'll have to bring back up for the next round, and you think about the setups that they still might be able to pull out. It doesn't feel like they're left with many options. Timeout, though.
It is a near flawless half, though, from GE. That one exception being the bonus round, and you can kind of forgive them for that. That even, by the way, came down to a 1v1. So I would say this has been an extremely dominant half from GE, and it's going to be a last roll of the dice now for RRQ. A loss here would mean they go down to play against DFM, and obviously a win will send GE through to the KRX matchup tomorrow, which I think is going to be a different kettle of fish, obviously, than RRQ. But, I mean, they're looking damn good here, and I back them to close it out the way they've been looking in this half. Let's see whether or not, though, that's going to be a bit of a cast to curse. RRQ, an awkward buy.
Jemkin has hit these shots before. Let's see him again.
Well, you'd be forgiven for thinking that was Autumn with a runner back on, because he has had a few of them this half. But no, that was just Autumn walking his way down to B. So he's out of the picture for this round.
And at the same time, Cushy has control over A main now. He's still able to get more information with a flash outside if he needs to, but GE trying to end up with a B split.
Yeah. You really don't want this round to be the fumble. You know, it was so clean for GE up to this point. Killjoy ulti going to go down. It's going to push a couple of these players back.
Yeah, see the reactions of the players, and then maybe you find a kill through B-Link.
Oh, there's an attempt in for it. Xfero stuck in the corner. They're aware of that. Surely there's no getting out of here alive. Xfero for one, and Monyet came in to back him up. RRQ answer the call. It was supposed to work out so cleanly for GE, but it has been anything but. And all of a sudden, just when you think the map might be over, RRQ are going to fight back again.
Every time. They did this last week against DFM. And the week before that. And the week before that. They're doing it again. Although, you do kind of question how much more can they keep going with this. You think about this round, the next one's just going to put them in a 3-round gap against GE. You kind of write this one off. It's another lockdown, which unfortunately doesn't go the way that G would have hoped off of perhaps some whiffed shots, but you got to credit Monyet for how quickly he's able to recognize the need to support his teammate.
Yeah, I thought it was a really well-executed round. I thought the decision was really fantastic from GE. You could see the layers of that round. It's supposed to push those players exactly back into the setup that GE had, but they mis-execute that aspect of it. You know, they got the players out of position that they wanted, but they weren't able to find Xfero. They weren't able to get him quickly enough, and then obviously the coverage comes back in from Monyet. So, nice idea from GE, but it just mis-executed, unfortunately.
And that's, you know, those slight mistakes could cost you potential things like overtime. That should have been GE's map point, but for now, we're listening to RQ with buys.
Someday. Is this? No sun, big guys. Can mark Masim. Can guys. Hold them in. Don't beat Kush. Power. Ahead.
Yes, we can retake that.
No more Picon. That's all. I have pull.
Okay, just a lot of setups. They know that G has control over A main, and they're just waiting for it. As heard by Crazy Guy, he has the pull.
Batman waiting for the perfect moment. Prowler's spotting Cushy out, but GE not going to commit off the back of this. As has typically been the case, they're not going to go on their first attempt, right?
Yes.
They like that double pump. They like to toy with the rotations of RRQ.
Bait out that utility first, all those crucial stars that Crazy Guy loves to play off of. Now they're hearing the Yodin as well. That's extra information. But Monyet, in position around door, he's going to hear all of this.
Is he going to get anything out of it, though? He's solo holding. But the push comes through. It's an aggressive play straight into the spam from Patman. That is a pretty key piece of the puzzle falling for RRQ, but time's now starting to become a little bit of a factor for GE. They are going to be spotted on their way through Art. So that A setup is going to remain 3 strong. Which
Big
is
guns.
tough ask to get past. Patman, though, of course, finding an entry. Again, ever so reliable, stepping up when it is required. Plants down. Time working in the favor of GE now.
And they're just able to play off towards the back of it. Perfectly planted for stairs as well as A main. What a default spot. RRQ going to try to work off of the lockdown, and they will be able to kind of push up a little bit, trying to see if there's any reaction from GE, but GE is just so comfortable right now.
Oh! So good from Crystal, easy as you like, under pressure, 12-8, and GE one step away from sending RRQ down into the lower bracket.
I mean, how has he timed that so darn well? Right off of the tap, goes in for the peak, and it's just pixel perfect accuracy. Off the first shot, into the next, and then the final one as well. Unbelievable. That just might have done it. Heavy investment from RRQ with the guns brought in, and now they find themselves somewhat broke.
Yeah, this is great from GE. Everybody's having a moment today. All 5 players having impact in various given rounds, and that is a recipe for success for them for sure. RRQ need 4 rounds in a row. They need to be flawless from here on out if they want to survive in this map and try to push us through Ascent. It seems, though, that we might not be getting Ascent to start off the day.
It just ended all here, right in this moment. Monyet hiding around the corner with a judge.
Lots of noise being made outside of A. The creep up from Yudotan goes straight into said judge, and Cushy for the spam on in. GE can just never do it easy, can they?
They do not go down without a fight, I'll say that for RRQ. Still, though, we've seen GE turn things around on 3v5s. Autumn's still alive, but far from the ultimate. It's going to be tough. Somehow, perhaps, if Pat's able to sneak into the B site, find a shot towards the back of xFaro's head, but xFaro feels like he's got a task to do. Oh, he's going to get hit by a lineup.
Oh, that's not good at all. xFaro finishes off Autumn pretty easily. Not really a whole lot in this round so far for GE. And xFaro claiming a couple of recovering kills to start to build some of that confidence for what is still going to be a long road ahead if RRQ is to go on to win this map and series.
Yeah. These rounds again, man. They flushed him out of the corner, and he's still able to frag out xFaro. And thinking about the A side as well, I mean, G did check it, but they checked it with their face. Then again, it's a 4-round gap. You build up towards ultimates, you juggle guns away, keep him with outside of G's reach or towards your teammates. And there's still a potential chance for RRQ to make it happen. GE, all they're looking for is just perhaps one big round where maybe Autumn comes in with run it back.
Yeah, I think every time he's had to run it back, he's got some kind of value out of it. Even if it hasn't resulted in a kill, there's always been certainly at least a little bit of space created. A lot of the time, GE have been good enough to convert on that space as well.
And let's see, as they position themselves for some kind of a mid play. Big A presence from RRQ though.
Question is, do you hold on to those ultis and just have one massive round to close this map out as GE? Or do you try to layer them through? You know, you can use the Cosmic Divide here, you could use their overdrive.
Just to pivot off of Art for the time being, seeing that it is relatively clear, but then you got to worry about how Monyet could potentially come out through connector, how the 2 players position on A, and how A main is still dirty.
Space taken nicely there by GE, but response was pretty swift from RRQ, so I'm quite glad that GE have called the cancel. Yudotan trying to clear out Crazy Guy, but that cutout is being a real thorn in the side of GE at the moment.
Same damn position.
Yeah.
Crystal on the lurk now, and suddenly it's a pivot over onto A site.
Well, Cosmic Divide's up. Walls up 2, curveball in, Autumn gets them into the site. Plan's going to go down nice and open, but these next couple of minutes, well, next couple of seconds rather, I should say, are going to be really critical. Patman's gone through the wall, waiting on the other side of it to be the X factor that could potentially open this round back up once again, as he has continued to do so many times. Wants to clear out back behind the site and gets Monyet, can't do more, but that throws a fox among the henhouse here for RRQ as they desperately now try to push their way back into the site with the help of Jemkin. Their own Cosmic Divide cutting off that spike plan, and down to just 1. RRQ will survive another day.
And put themselves within range of map point with just 2 rounds away. or I mean overtime, excuse me. I mean, again, it's one of these where they're backed into the corner, but sitting so comfortably, so defensively, they're able to whittle down these numbers and work around what's known, which is the Cosmic Divide on site, the spike planted, somewhat out in the open, and instantly trading off of kills. You know that that smoke came up at a timing. It's possible that it's dirty. Maybe someone's hiding inside and they don't peek it alone. Monyet might have been the first to fall in that moment, but instantly the trades came through. They set up their own Cosmic Divide off of it. It's just lovely retake protocols once again from RRQ, and that's what most of these rounds, I guess, have looked like in this second half for the guys, but you really need to come off something stronger than that now with the final 2 rounds just a few seconds away. The timeout now called from GE with their own possible plan as well, and this is exactly another thing that I'm talking about. They might have spent the Cosmic Divide in that previous round, but take a look at Autumn, Eurotan, even Crystal, just a few points away from their own ultimate, and if they are somehow able to chain and combo all those effectively enough, it's just so many multiple layers that RRQ might not be able to work off of even in a retake. You think about perhaps the Nightfall to give yourself the sight, Yuta-san and Autumn off of Run It Back to take further space, lockdown, everything could come in. And RRQ needs to play it flawlessly. If not, this entire house of cards could fall apart.
Yeah, in saying that though, these last couple of rounds have looked pretty solid from RRQ. It's not as if they can't get it done. Halfway there. 2 out of the 4 so far that they've needed to get. And a solid 2 as well. G would not want to falter at the final hurdle. It sort of feels like it's in the bag. A chance against KRX tomorrow. 1 match away from London. They almost can taste it already.
The London air. Ooh, how does that taste?
I don't know. Might have to ask Morgan. Wouldn't want to get too far ahead of yourself though if you're GE.
Very careful approach. A main silently being taken by RRQ. A sudden peek could hurt them.
It's not the round you want to be losing a player early. Not least Monyet, who has been fragging well and recovering a lot of these rounds for RRQ. Especially Monyet that's got the overdrive unused in this round as well. It's a big player to lose.
Slight high-low setup towards the back of A site. GE not really feeling the need to contend with that spot. So finding that port of call back over, perhaps over onto B site, but trying to sell that fake over onto A.
Yeah, this is actually quite a convincing fake as far as I'm concerned. Look at Unitad all the way in. He gets the better of Jemkin as well. And Crystal catches Xpharaoh on the rotate. I think this might just be it. Plan's going to go down over on B, but that may not even matter. Patman is on the warpath. He wants to get it done. And he can't quite get it on his own. So it will come down to Crazy Guy to try to save the game here for RRQ. Almost fitting that it should be Crazy Guy with a chance to play in front of his home crowd that wants to try to give himself every chance possible. But this feels like it's a bridge too far. How are you going to get through this lockdown? Crazy Guy is going to have to respect it. Backs off, but that will cost him some crucial seconds as that spike ticks away. Tries to pull out a defender from behind the box. It's not going to happen there either. And now finally spots one out, but there's just no chance at all. It is done. GE will secure the 2-0 and send RRQ packing down into that lower bracket and set themselves into the match tomorrow against KRX.
Old nemesis. Frost versus something. Round 2 in stage 1. Let's see it happen. But for now, let's talk a little bit about this map. Final scoreline of 13-10. I mean, it just feels as though perhaps the teacher still has more lessons left to teach to his student.
Very much.
Jovi tried, we had some pretty cool stuff on Breeze, but over onto Pearl, that's where a lot of circles will run around them. Multiple rounds, especially in the second half on the attacking side, where GE is able to switch up the place, play that tempo game, have Autumn suddenly onto this Phoenix. Back over onto the Duelist, I might add, where he's able to play all around it. You love to see the sportsmanship on the stage and the adoration they have for each other. But the games, the performance, the frags, Monyet might have been quiet, but he does come back a little bit towards the end. But still, it's a concerted effort from GE. All the ultimates layered together for that one final round.
Yeah, definitely looked good for RRQ at the start. I was starting to think that we were going to get some different kind of storylines out of this matchup, but in the end, yeah, GE reign supreme. Good recovery from them, and it felt like all 5 players kind of had a day today. It wasn't maybe peak GE, you know, it wasn't as if everyone was just absolutely popping off, but there was individual rounds across the board really, really nicely. Let's go down to the stage though and hear what is to be said from this interview.
Hi guys, it's Bella on the stage for Global Esports post-match interview. They come out on top with a 2-0 win against RRQ. Well, the keyword that Frost said was consistency, composure. I want to ask Yudo-san how well the team did in that department, and how does winning today, first day here at playoffs, feels like. 일단 이렇게 글로벌 e스포츠의 유도탄 선수 만나보겠습니다. 승리 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
안 그래도 오늘 경기 전에 이전에도 프로스트 감독님이 우리 팀은 침착하기만 하면 잘한다라고 이야기를 해주셨거든요. 오늘 좀 어떻게 침착한 것 같은지 승리 소감과 함께 들어보도록 하겠습니다.
일단 오늘 침착했다기보다는 되게 정신이 없었는데 근데 다양하게 콜이 잘 돌아가지고 게임을 쉽게 이길 수 있었던 것 같아요. 쉽게는 아니지만 그래도 잘 이길 수 있었던 것 같아요.
Well, I don't know if we were actually kind of calm today, but I think our calls today and the way that we shifted and adapted to all the rounds actually worked out in our favor. So I wouldn't say it was an easy win, but it was a good game from us, right? And this is your first ever playoffs for the org and your personal as a player. I mean, taking a win on today and seeing the games that you played here at Pacific, I want to know what is different. What are you doing differently here for this stage here at 2026? 안 그래도 이제 글로벌 e스포츠의 첫 플레이오프기도 하지만 유도탄 선수의 첫 번째 플레이오프, 그리고 오늘 승리까지 가져가기 성공했습니다. 이렇게 스스로 성장해 나가면서 이번 스테이지에는 뭔가 다른 마음가짐을 갖고 있는지 개인적인 목표에 대해서도 들어보면 참 좋을 것 같아요.
네, 사실 제가 포시픽에 들어오고 나서부터 세웠던 가장 첫 목표가 일단 플레이오프 진출하기였거든요. 그걸 이번 연도에 달성하게 돼서 좋은 것 같고요. 다음 목표는 국제대회를 목표로 열심히 한번 해보겠습니다.
I mean, speaking of, it was actually my personal goal here after joining Pacific to make it to the playoffs, and check, I've got that in store. So my eyes on the prize would be the next move, making an international event here from Pacific. All right, first win down here at playoffs, but next up is none other than KRX. We see something on the Jet, and they're looking so solid. How confident are you with current GE's form and taking that win? What are your expectations on the next match? 안 그래도 오늘 승리는 확보했는데 다음 상대가 하필 또 KRX입니다. 썸띵 선수가 또 Z를 다 잡으면서 기세가 아주 좋거든요. 유도탄 선수 혹시 글로벌 e스포츠 지금 폼으로 봤을 때 얼마나 자신 있는지 다음 경기 어떻게 예상하시나요?
일단 저희가 저저번 경기부터 되게 준비된 결과가 잘 나오는 것 같아서 그냥 긴장하지 않고 준비한 대로 열심히 하면은 충분히 이번에는 이길 수 있을 것 같습니다.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, since then, I think what we've been prepping offline with our own prep time, it's actually been translating onto the server on the Pacific stage. So I'm really looking forward and confident in how my team will perform. So maybe this time it'll be different. All right, that was Global Esports' Yudo-tan for the post-match interview, and I'll be back after match 2. 감사합니다, 유도탄 선수. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
네, 계속 뒤로 가시죠.
You heard it from Yudo-tan. Prep finally transforming into results on the stage. It feels as though Global Esports, everything is leading up to their continued success here on the playoff stage. They take the first win of playoffs versus RRQ, and by the time those final rounds on Pearl were rolling around, we started feeling it. It was inevitable that they were going to take this win.
I've been so impressed by Global Esports all day. To me, going into this match, this was really 50-50. I could have seen this going either way. For me, it came down to who was the most composed. And today, that was Global Esports. Both of these games going on for a really long time. You see these really important, pivotal swing rounds where in the past we've seen GE fall short and RRQ always seem to come up clutch. Today, it was all GE. Incredibly impressed with them. Their first ever playoffs and their first ever playoff win here today.
Yeah, that's massive for them. I mean, 100% win rate in playoffs. You can't mess with that. I think that was a bit of a calling masterclass. Both attacking sides from Harvey today was really fantastic to watch. I think the comp change as well going into this map in particular worked very, very well for GE. Once again, it's another example of them being a little bit more adaptable. And unfortunately for RRQ, some of that same shakiness that we saw even in their easier group has followed them back in towards the playoffs. So unfortunately, they'll fall into the lower bracket. Story's not done just yet. They will have a rematch against TFM, who they went back-to-back OTs with just at the end of their last group. So that'll be another interesting game to watch. And GE in towards the upper bracket already to take on PRX.
Yeah, it's massive wins, especially early on, as you mentioned, Pilsky, here in the playoffs. And for RRQ, I mean, we've been saying it, they're the kind of team that you can't count out just yet, right? But for Global Esports, I think a strong start is exactly what they needed for this. They take this map 13-10 with RRQ, and as we mentioned in those later rounds, it just felt like RRQ just couldn't find that same footing that we know them for, especially on like longer series as we get into second maps and maybe third maps, right? They just couldn't get those wins.
I feel like RRQ got a lot of openings. They had a lot of advantages into these rounds, even above just kills, but I think Global was so good in those disadvantages. They were continually able to claw their way back into rounds that looked like they should have been done. That's really big credit to Javi there for how he's calling. And the firepower of this squad. They went toe-to-toe with guys we know can put up numbers, so I think things are looking up for Global Esports.
Yeah, they went toe-to-toe with the guys that usually set the records, right? And they are holding their own. Congratulations to Global Esports, and congratulations to our special guest here on the desk. We have Autumn. Thank you so much for joining us here. Congratulations to Global 2-0.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that?
Feels amazing.
Yeah, first day here on playoffs too. I'm pretty sure that Frost probably had very, very specific plays, very specific instructions for you all going into this match. How was that prep going into this one?
Yeah, there was like quite a bit of anti on. Actually, there wasn't actually that much anti, to be honest. I think we were playing our game more today than past matches. But obviously, there's some like certain things we're looking out for, like how they play, because they do play the same on. Like they didn't change that many things up. So we're just looking for some small things, but actually it's more like playing our own game today, I thought.
Yeah, I think so, because it was also like on Breeze, right? They were very well prepared for what you had, but you guys kind of anticipated and adapted to that as well. Was that what was happening?
Yeah, I think so.
It looked fantastic, and it looked really nice to see you guys very, very well prepared for what RQ had in store.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the Pearl. We saw you guys swap comp. You're now on the Phoenix instead of that Chamber. This is the first double duelist we've seen from you guys, all split. So how was that for you, playing that kind of secondary duelist role again, and how does it feel on the map, you know, in that Phoenix where you're able to be a bit more aggressive compared to that Chamber?
Yeah, I think it's a lot more comfortable in Phoenix because I can, you know, play with the team a bit more. It's not like I'm left on an island a bit sometimes. And also the Flash is just so good right now.
Yeah,
and Phoenix, like, is just win rate is so high right now. It's just so strong. I think also we have two like good duelist players. So yeah, playing the double duelist is really comfy for us, and yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask two questions. I mean, first of all, both of the attacking sides, how was Harvey's calling, but also you as a player, like on Breeze, you were like walking out mid looking for picks on Chamber, but even like you were playing a pretty active role on Breeze, on Pearl as well, on the Phoenix, where you're kind of feeling out not only on defense but also on attack, like when are you going to peg a flash or when are you going to choose to like, you know, push. So how was it feeling out the game? Was it more Harvey making the calls, or were you kind of like looking for timings and things like that and trying to read the game yourself as well?
I mean, definitely we're all talking to each other about like our setups and if you want to push and pull, like if they take an area of the map, we're going to take it other and stuff like that. But I think Harvey's calling was insane today. Like big props to him today. His calling was phenomenal. But yeah, I think it's a mix of both. Like we obviously talk together about what we're going to do in the round, but yeah, his calling was just crazy today.
And you've been playing for a while. Like, you're probably one of the players with the most playoff experience out of everyone. I mean, obviously, Pat's been to international events and stuff like that, but you've been grinding in China for a little while. So do you think you're helping some of the other guys, like, get used to playing it all? Have you had any kind of, like, words of wisdom for the other boys?
Honestly, like, I feel even though the team isn't that experienced, like some of the players, I feel like they actually are. Like, they're, like, pretty mature, everyone on the team. So I feel like they don't need that much, like, talking to. I think everyone is quite mature on the team and we all get along. But yeah, obviously I try and, like, help out and, like, give them some talks and also. But everyone is doing this to each other, especially Pat. I think Pat is really good at this kind of thing.
Yeah, do you think that's because, like, you know, people like Crystal and Harvey have all been grinding, like, in Tier 2 or they're playing Ascensions and stuff like that? Do you think that helps them with this kind of environment?
Yeah, definitely. I think they, even though the experience in Tier 1 isn't that much, it's like the experience in Tier 2 at, like, the top level of Tier 2 it just helps a lot, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're always seeing in the GE vlogs how Frost is like, oh, Pat, show the breathing techniques. You know, he's always that kind of guy. But of course, speaking of those KRX breathing techniques, I wanted to ask because up next is KRX. They were looking forward to going up against GE. So what are your thoughts on that matchup?
Fourth time's the charm. I'd say third time's the charm, but we lost last time. But yeah, fourth time's the charm.
Fourth time's the charm.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys continue to keep playing the way you are, hey, it could be different this time around. Congratulations to you, Autumn, and congratulations to the rest of Global Esports as well. You guys are looking very, very good indeed. You can leave your headset here, and yeah, we continue talking about you and your team and how amazing you guys all are. We have the MVP of the match. We have Padman over here, and this guy is just consistently insane. It feels like the harder the matches are, the higher the stakes get, this guy performs even better.
Today was just an average day for him. He had a lot of help, though, to be honest. Like, everyone on GE put in a shift. I almost felt like even the MVP to Harvey, those attacking sides were insane. Like, especially, we've got so many good callers playing today. Like, especially if Harvey's going to show an attack side calling like that. You got Crazy Guy, and next up we got Bane versus Cruz. We've got a ton of great callers in Pacific.
But I think you're so right. It's so crazy. This is an average Patman deck.
Yeah.
This is standard for the
normal.
We're not even surprised that he's throwing up these insane numbers.
He's on Viper Fade. It's like, oh yeah, 150 ADR.
That
just casual.
That makes total sense. Which is why it was a no-brainer for the initiator pick over on Build Diff, right? Even though I think there are some outliers here and there.
Not all of us are in agreement.
Looking over there.
Some of us might be winning, but you know, that's okay. I think that's luck.
I mean, some of us see other paths in Build Diff. But going back into our match, as we mentioned, there are some insane players, insane callers stepping onto that stage, and we have our second matchup. We have KRX taking on Full Sense. Bit of a continuation of the Jovi Frost here, because of course you have Cruz in this match as well. And we have KRX. And KRX, they are the only Korean team yet to lift a global trophy, and they are hoping to change all of that.
Yeah, I mean, Mako's ready to finally lift one up. He's been waiting so long. Will it be Masters London? But in order to lift that trophy, they have to look good in the playoffs. They have to be clean. I think they had a very good group stage until that last match. I think that one against KRX is ultimately the killer for them that has created a little bit of doubt around this team as we head towards playoffs.
I mean, I totally agree, but I mean, there you go. This is very standard for Korean organizations. Yong, we've seen big games from him on Lotus on the Chamber, for example. Be interested to see if that makes it into the veto, but it doesn't even matter. Sorry, mate, apparently you haven't done enough. Hermes is back in from kickoff, where he had an okay performance, nothing too great. I wouldn't say necessarily from watching both of them play that either Hermes or Yong were better or worse than each other, but I guess the KRX coaching staff have seen something in particular.
I mean, this is definitely an interesting move as we head towards playoffs. I can't say that I love it. I mean, Yong wasn't the perfect player, right? But I think he was building up to it. He was creating synergy with that team. And ultimately, I think there's a reason why he replaced Hermes, right? So I'm very curious to see Hermes coming back into this now. It's going to be a huge question mark in this game.
The spiral to replace Flashback just continues.
Oh, no!
They can't figure it out, man.
I don't know. I mean, it's still a disruption, right? Everything you've been working towards, every time time there's a bit of a replacement, it's still something that changes. And of course, here on the side of Full Sense, the big change here at the start of the stage was Cruz coming back in, and it's been looking so good for this team. They look like they have more direction. There's more of less of the headless chickens kind of thing.
I mean, yeah.
Yes and no.
Unfortunately, they're still having a lot of the same problems, and I don't think Cruz coming back into IGL is fixing the overarching, I guess, pressure moments or miscommunications that you see from Full Sense. Unfortunately, they're still having moments where they completely capitulate, and I think that third map against RRQ where they took a loss, as well as some of the moments against T1 are the perfect example of that. Full Sense, we know their potential, we know their heights. You see great numbers from both Primi and Killua there, but unfortunately, Jip Boys, I mean, he's been okay on Neon. I think he's just playing his role. We probably need a little bit more out of Leviathan.
Yeah.
Cruz is still calling a good game, but I don't know. Full Sense have not sold me, unfortunately, even after a hot group stage yet again.
I think there's so much more left in the tank for this team. Ultimately, they came in third in what was a relatively weaker group. When we talk about the guys on Full Sense who we love to see, everyone talks about Primi, but Killua has been the guy for them. He's saved them time and time again this stage 1.
Yeah, he has slowed down a little bit since the opening couple of games, though. Most of his great stats come off the back of some of these Sky games, so we'll have to see how many times he gets it in this series.
Look, I will agree with you guys that, perhaps Full Sense, they still have that mental boom question, dealing with the pressure and everything, but you would have to ignore everything knowing that, like, all these players have been stepping up all throughout the stage because of the adjustments that this team has made.
I definitely agree. I think their ceiling is very high. It's just about how consistently can they find it. One thing I want to highlight is these two teams played each other twice in kickoff. The first time, Primi sets the Pacific record for kills in a best of 3, 79, and then look at what happens to his stats the next game. Have KRX figured out how to stop Primi.
I mean, that upper bracket game, I felt like they still could have lost, even though Primi was insane. If he doesn't drop 79, they definitely lose. And unfortunately, in the lower bracket round 3, where KRX knocked Full Sense out of the tournament, you see what happens when Primi doesn't put 79 together. They get 2-0 pretty cut and dry, and KRX continue on in the bracket.
So you're saying it's 79 or nothing?
79 or nothing? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I'm looking at these two players right now, Primi versus Hyunmin.
Yes.
I think that Hyunmin probably has a little bit wider of an agent pool right now, in that I have got a little bit more faith in his Raze, although Primi did show Raze once on Bind, which funnily enough is the only map that Full Sense were able to take over in the group stage earlier on against T1, I believe it was. They lost the other two maps. Now that's going out of the map pool, so I'm wondering how that's going to potentially affect this series, but other than that, they have pretty similar agent pools.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is we've still seen Primi play this way, like, even past week 4 where the nerf hit. I
would say some of the surprise neons over here on stage 1, right? This was part of the news, I think, when they suddenly bust out the neon.
These are two players that got bored, basically. Bro, get me off the Cypher. I'm not going to put this wall up and down anymore. I want to be putting the wall up on the neon and running in.
Yeah, I think it goes to show just what happens when a meta becomes so dominant. These are teams that were not built with this meta in mind. They're not made for it. So they're having to have players do these kind of really big adjustments across onto this different role of the Neon. Both these two players, I do think, have coped quite well. I think they're both role-playing Neons, very much so, where it's all about making that space and tanking a lot of that util. But I think they've both been solid at it.
Role-playing Neons. I'm picturing them running around at the Renaissance Fair or something like that.
Anyway. But speaking of, and this kind of feels a little bit familiar with some of our earlier matches. What are we thinking of Hermes here, given that he actually is quite familiar with it?
Here's what I'm wondering, why? Why is he back in the team? And does it have something to do with the fact that he's played a lot of duelists in his career? You look at someone like Yong, he was filling that chamber op duties and on the Cypher, but other than that, I don't know how much they wanted to put Hyunmin on an op. Hermes is someone who they had playing Yoru op initially, and then continuing to flex onto KO and Cypher with his role. So he was playing a lot of different roles for KRX, but he has actually played a lot of Neon in his career. So I'm kind of wondering, is Hermes the Neon guy? Or is he just going to get chucked on Yong's role? Because I know that Freen can actually play a pretty good Sentinel for himself.
Yeah, I think that is definitely the toss-up in my mind. For me, I would love to see Hermes play this Neon. He could have been grinding it this whole time. Who knows? Like, he's been on that bench. He's had nothing else to do but put in the work. And I do like freeing on that Sentinel role. So as we move forward, those roles will be very crucial for KRX.
Full Set's just not interested in it.
No, we'll have none of that. Instead, we're going to pick Lotus here. And then we have KRX on Frag. Fracture, no surprises there. But I'm wondering what these teams have prepped for this, especially because, prepping for Hermes and a potential curveball by KRX.
I mean, they've just dropped their Lotus guy, and then full senses instant.
Exactly.
You know Young.
You know
Young's
Young
no
is sat in the
chamber.
green room going, guys, this is what I could have done it.
Coach, put me in, coach.
I also think KRX peeking Fracture makes so much sense, right? Last time we saw Full Sense play on Fracture, they got absolutely dominated. So I think KRX will be feeling like they're very solid in that map.
Full Sense has played a bit of Fracture in the past though and not minded this map at times, so I think honestly this kind of looks like a bit of a handshake veto almost. Breeze will be the third map decider between these two teams. It feels not risky for me, Ascent hasn't been left in there. To be fair, I mean KRX is the Ascent team. They've had, throughout their various different variations, strats named after them on this map in particular. The coaching staff know it in and out, so I don't think Full Sense want to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, I have big questions about Breeze if ever we get there, but going over to Lotus first. Again, it's big questions on the side of KRX because previously, obviously, we know what they ran here.
Well, this is the thing. Yong is the Lotus guy for KRX. He's not on the roster. No shot they run this same comp. This is a change.
I think you have to change away from this. You have Hermes who's able to, even freeing. I think they're both solid at those more traditional Sentinels, but I wouldn't be surprised to even see them swap back to some kind of double initiator on this. I think for sure we can expect a change out of KRX. Full Sense were running the Phoenix when we last saw them play this, and it was a very close game against Valorant.
Which is weird on this map, no? Like, we don't see that much Phoenix on this map usually.
Yeah, it's definitely a strange approach. I think they just think Phoenix is very strong in the meta, which I certainly agree with. I quite like this comp on paper. You're also using that Vice, which I think is great, a really great fit on the map right now. So I think it's a very meta-appropriate kind of composition. So again, I could see changes coming out from them as well.
And it's a very Primi-appropriate thing as well.
For sure.
It's
Keep it simple for Primi, guys.
Just give him more chances to get frags. I mean, that's about it. It could be adjusting to the player, themselves. But we have our predictions here, and again, it was really tough to predict this because we weren't sure, and then we had this Hermes swap come in, so it's only question marks.
This was before Hermes was announced, and I feel much less safe about my prediction, but still, I feel like either one of these teams could win this matchup still. I mean, and either way, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because you're going to go on to play either T1 or Nongshim. So it's like, pick your poison, guys.
Also, everyone who predicted GE also predicted for Full Sense there. We entirely split across the 2 days. Exactly evenly.
We're in two camps.
Yes.
Siblings. For this, siblings, exactly. It's how it is. I would say RRQ as well. But you know what? It's big question marks. Of course they count. It's big question marks across the board. And we really do wonder again how these teams are going to perform with an emergency substitute again. Maybe not so emergency. We're gonna find out as we send it to the stage for our second match of the day. KRX taking on Full Sense.
Today's matchup.
KRX ready to show their playoffs form here on the Pacific stage. After a couple of heavy map losses versus PRX, KRX, they need to start playoffs strong. Everybody is hoping to see an even better KRX, as they were one of the strongest teams in groups, even with all of the adjustments coming in.
Yeah, whether they played Full Sense head-to-head or not, they've often benefited from their results. They went to champs off the back of Full Sense failing to beat RRQ at the Tokyo Finals. We already mentioned how they played each other twice in kickoff, KRX losing initially and then knocking them out of the tournament to only make one placement deeper. Both of these teams kind of sitting similarly in the pecking order, but KRX, I mean, all eyes are on this substitution. Hermes in last minute as we head into playoffs over Yong, and it doesn't really feel like anyone can fit the extremely big shoes of Flashback so far.
Yeah, it's big questions all around for KRX, and as you mentioned, Pilski, there's a lot of history between these two teams, and Full Sense, they are just as hungry for another chance at that global stage. It is no small feat as well that KRX is one of those teams that prevented this team from getting over there, and KRX was of course that team that knocked Full Sense out of kickoff in the lower bracket not too long ago. Now Full Sense, they're out for revenge.
Full Sense for me, on their day, are absolute world beaters. When all 5 of these young Thai players are shooting, I truly feel like they can beat anybody in the world. But the problem is that consistency. I do think their floor sits a little bit too low. I think sometimes they get schemed out of games, and if everyone isn't shooting at their absolute peak, things can be tough. What form are they bringing into playoffs? That's the biggest question. We know that they have Killua, Primi, these incredible players, but will it be good enough to get them to Masters London?
I mean, you can see their ceiling. They have been the only team to take a map off of Full Sense so far in this, off of T1 rather, so far in this competition. Unfortunately, Thea is out of the picture right now, so Sushi Boys has got to take on those coaching shoes all on his lonesome. He's got a lot to do over there. Regardless, they had picked Lotus into KRX, and it's interesting, as we mentioned before, KRX dropping their Lotus Sky, what they're going to be coming out with, and whether Full Sense will have some kind of a read on what they want to be bringing into this matchup.
Yeah, I think Full Sense are very well prepared for this. I mean, Thea might be out of the picture, and we wish him well. We wish him a very, very speedy recovery and that everything goes well. But Cruz, you know, mentioned, I think he posted on social media, he's like, no, it's okay, don't worry, we got this. So I think they are very well prepared for what is to come. And of course, Cruz, not too long ago, he was in that coaching booth as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a smart guy. He's going to be well ahead of this. But I will say, with the fact that Hermes is playing, we can expect a compositional change here, which will for sure throw off Full Sense's prep quite a bit. So I'm curious what Full Sense are bringing into this themselves. Do they stick with that Phoenix, or is it going to be a swap up from them as well? Are we heading into the unknown here in map 1?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see as well for KRX, like, what is the method to this madness? What do the roles look like? Is Hermes just continuing to be a fill for the team and allowing other players on the team to shine? Because he was needed to kind of frag a little bit harder in that Yoru meta, and he wasn't quite able to put up the numbers that were needed. He was just an okay average player. I think you could have said the same for Yong, so I'm wondering what the thought process is behind this last-minute adjustment, or is this classic Korean coaching staff just benching a player to try to give them some more motivation, fight for your spot?
I mean, there seems to be some kind of lore around that as well, but Full Sense taking a few more seconds in their huddle. You kind of wonder what Cruz was saying in order to empower them, but we're looking at the agent comps right now.
Ooh, okay. I mean, this feels like Full Sense have seen what Paper X did to DRX, or KRX rather, last time around, and they basically copied their homework. KRX had a very tough time against this comp, getting 13 5s at the end of the group stage, and I'm not seeing anything too different except for maybe the chamber swap out for the Vice.
Yeah, on the side of Full Sense, this is actually quite a different comp. No Neon for them. It is double duelist still. Raze with Primi on that Jet. I want to say also, Cushy swapping onto that Sky where he's been so good, and now it's Cruz taking on that Vice, so he's going to be calling from the wing, calling from that Sentinel role, so that will feel quite different for him in the server as well.
I feel like the double duelist pairing for Full Sense here plays quite well into the Vice compared to the Neon that they were running before. I think they could go up and over the wall with the satchel updraft dash, and it could go very well with the double dive here.
Well, we're going to find out who indeed is better prepared for this match as we send it over to your casters, Quack and Elvish, to take us into Lotus.
Yeah, another big one. Obviously, Quack, we have had one pretty good matchup, a nice quick 2-0. This one, on the other hand, though, feels like it's really a question of which of these two teams come in with the better form, because last week for KRX wasn't fantastic. Full Sense have been a bit up and down as well. So I think jury's really out, right? We had the 4-4 split in terms of predictions on the desk there as well.
Who wins this matchup?
It's tough to say. You know, I think form is really the right question to ask. You're thinking about Full Sense, and Pilsky actually kind of said it best as well. How Full Sense had the opening games, you know, slightly opponents of varying difficulty, but down towards T1, that was the real test. Unfortunately, then they weren't really up to the task, but it also would mean so much for this organization, this team, to actually make it to an international. It's been quite a while, I think, for a Thai squad to make it up there.
That's right.
Apart from that, though, KRX, I mean, you're talking about form. Yeah, I was quite disappointed with that one against Paper X. I mean, that was supposed to be such a big matchup between the two orgs, big rivalry, but they really just didn't show up at all. What are they going to look like today? That's tough to say as well. They've suddenly put in a sub out of nowhere.
Yeah, let's find out. No excuses for Full Sense anymore. Cruz is back, obviously, in the server. Primy's fragging. I think now's the time for this team to make something happen, especially off the back of such an awkward week last week for KRX. I think we really saw their flaw there, but we also kind of know what kind of ceiling they can bring into these kinds of games, and I hope that they've been able to fix that in the last week. Let's find out as we jump into the pistol round of a Lotus. It is Full Sense starting things off on the defense. So KRX will be the ones to dictate how this round starts off.
And that's where you want to think about how the composition switch up can come into play as well. Already taking a lot of early space out towards B. That's going to pull some attention from Full Sense, possibly away, but quite happy with how they've taken C mound control for now. KRX happy to avoid that completely.
Yeah, a bit of a push over towards that A site for now for KRX. That dark cover probably giving that away a little bit. It's a little bit telegraphed. Primy's obviously also been able to push outside of C, so information starting to come through here for Full Sense, and they are pre-rotating.
Look at this wall up towards tree, though, and that's going to be something that really slows down KRX on the attack.
Yeah, it actually cuts freeing off. He luckily has a little pocket of safety to play in, but he's tagged up pretty substantially. Cruz will go down to start this round off, and so already for Full Sense, it's starting to get a little bit awkward. Hyunmin into the picture. Kalua for a good trade has been a real key for his team throughout the regular season, but for Full Sense, this has kind of fallen to bits and made no sense until maybe Primy comes into play. He has been the X factor for this team. Can he do it again? A 4v1 is a really tough ask, but started it well. There's a chance at another 1v1, and you thought for a second if Bane's head goes off there, hold on a minute. Not going to be the case this time. KRX start with the pistol.
That's just lovely to see. I mean, you were absolutely bang on when you said this makes no sense, because the composition, the setup, it looked pretty darn good. Slows everything down, but unfortunately the shot, somehow KRX just off of slight timing, still able to spring forward. And look at this headshot angle as well, with how Hyunmin's able to play underneath it. Makes it so difficult for Full Sense to find the right angles, the right aim to be able to bring forth the round, despite the defense. So the compositions, well, we'll kind of leave that to a further discussion for now. It still is KRX looking back in form.
Guiding light over the top, going to slow things down for KRX, and you can see Full Sense really trying to bully them out of A. That has worked. It has sent them back in the direction of this C site, which is where Cruz is waiting.
That was his one flash, though, so a little bit unfortunate now. Quick rotations over. All 5 pistols against the full force of KRX.
Well, if the pistols shoot like that, then maybe there's something in this round. Cruz for the double. Leading from the front, it's a good exchange there for Kalua as well. You've still got the numbers as Full Sense, although that is starting to dissipate. Hyunmin on a bit of a tear today. That has historically been a real win condition for KRX as well. If Hyunmin is having a good day, well, then you can bet your bottom dollar than KRX is as well. He's already got the showstopper after 2 rounds.
That's incredible. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it, between these two teams? The X Factors. Who's going to be the player that shows up on that day? Is it going to be Primy or is it going to be Hyunmin? And Hyunmin in this round with the 4K after the showstopper, that's going to be already just such big momentum for the next rounds. Even though they're not going to have that many guns, having lost, 3, maybe 4 players in this one, it's still a big signal as to how they can continue to play up fast plays towards A.
Yeah, it's always going to be fast as you've got that showstopper available. Hyunmin's going to want to try and get that in there, get some value out of it. Doesn't. And so opts for the Boombot instead to try to put Full Sense back away from the A site. Still though, freeing falling. You would have thought with the showstopper to start that round off, Full Sense might have had a bit more difficulty, but it seems like this round is where they're going to start to come back into their own. The timings are working out perfectly. Jit Boys not able to save Kahlua in this instance, but overall you'd say a massive win to start this round off for Full Sense.
Yeah, just shaving off all of these numbers, their health bar as well. Plus you got Primi onto this operator just continuing to watch out towards the back. So best they can hope for KRX is to get that spike down, build up towards ults and economy and everything else that goes along with it. And for now, just to listen for information and play together, try to isolate.
It's pretty early dark cover there from Marco. It's not really going to slow Full Sense down all that much. They're going to clear out Tree first. We'll boot forward off the satchel, and Cruz gets the better of Bane. Paranoia through makes for short work on Marco as well. So first round on the board for Full Sense. Just a question of who's going to get the defuse. It will go the way of Cruz. Getting quite close to that Steel Garden.
Yeah, I don't really mind that. That's going to be pretty, helpful for retakes. Apart from that, it's also just how this operator comes into play as well. I mean, the initial shots, trying to work off that game sense, reading the map, coming in with, Phantom checking in towards the smokes and getting those spams in. You're able to find unsuspecting frags against your opponents. But round 3, I mean, round 3 operator, and that's a pretty big statement for the team. Because now you can set yourself up even further along these info lines down C, where KRX will be relegated somewhere else.
Back to the drawing board for KRX, but that last round a bit of a bonus, so not the end of the world to be dropping it. Some early pressure coming in the direction of the C site, but Primi ready for it. Dashes back out to safety. So, again, a good start for Full Sense, and also, again, mentioning Primi has been such an X-factor, such an important part of this lineup that if things are working well for him today, then it's going to be a good day at the office for Full Sense. That Paranoia, almost a problem for Hermes.
Yeah, pretty incredible. Just suffocating KRX off of positioning right now. If they want to end up on the B site, that kill would have done it.
Double satchel forward for Hyunmin. It's a bit of space onto B. He'll need to try to find another frag here, but he'll perhaps need 2 as Leviathan round the corner will lose his head. Hyunmin is just on a tear. And despite a good start to this round for Primi, it's the only kill in this round for Full Sense.
Yeah, not gonna lie, this is gonna have to be a save. Might not even be possible now.
I don't know if he's gonna be allowed to. Hunt's already kind of on. You can see Hermes is slowly pushing his way forward. Hyunmin as well. They're going to find him eventually. It's just whether or not he finds them first.
He's got Bladestorm now, but you don't want to pull it out in this round.
Oh, no. But Bladestorm available. Maybe you toss the op over, pop the Bladestorm in the next round. You could put something together.
Hermes.
If the op goes through. Primi pumping up a bit of a storm here. He's got that dash available, so could take a cheeky peek here for another one and then just dash back out to safety. Oh! Instead, he dashes forward. I think, to be fair, he was kind of between a rock and a hard place because he did have Hermes behind him, whether he went into Mako or not.
That's that checkmate.
That spike explosion was really the trouble for him, wasn't it? It just sort of obscured the vision. He couldn't really see where his opponents were coming from.
It's one of those things that just happens. Just the fact that it's planted on B means that that's like one of the only corners that you can bank yourself onto. But that's a huge loss to economy. Now Bladestorm and everything. They're trying to take control.
Yeah, and this is big. The timing from Primi round the back gets the better of Marco, and Hyunmin went down too. So KRX, they would have thought this would be an easy round. In fact, it's not.
Even onto the C side, everything is pretty much fine and dandy. You've got the sheer wall as an added layer of defense. Everyone can rotate over on a dime. Meanwhile, just continuing to check if there is someone else still lurking behind the smokes, and that would be Freeing, spotted out by the jump peak.
Yep. Primi kind of looks like he wants to take that fight, but electing better of it now after coughing a little bit of damage. Wall's going to be baited out. Doesn't really open much up. Dark cover's going to come through over onto C, so still going to take some time to try to clear that out. Freeing will have been spotted now. Going to try and get back out. Does so.
And now that's a rabbit to chase. Oh, Primi.
Oh, uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no! I have no words.
That was always a tough target to hit. I mean, especially with Bladestorm. The fact that he managed to pull out the classic, but still, on to the retake now. 4v2 onto site. Bane trying to stay hidden.
Can't do it against the guiding light. Flash forward and And yeah, that's a little bit surprising. Was that a misclick from Jip Boys? In a 3v1, are you really ripping the showstopper?
That's the thing that we're questioning. It's a little bit over-eager, perhaps, but you know, I guess if you have it, just to secure the rounds.
I mean, look, I want to agree, but it just seems nonsensical to me.
It's just one of those things. We'll kind of table that for, you know, future moments. It's one, but especially with the fact that they're on defense, though. Like the showstopper could have been so useful in like a retake or something. Not this one where it's 3v1.
Yeah.
But other than that, still, the way that this starts, I think, is how we want to think about how Full Sense approaches it. Just so much force and aggression off of Primi alone. I mean, there's a lot of utility that comes back in over to Rebel as well. The fact that they were on just like a thrifty, pretty much. Primi with the Blade Storm. That was pretty darn incredible, which means KRX will always have to play that with, you know, potential in mind. There's always going to be Full Sense maybe just around the corner, taking aggressive space outside of A main or C mount. You always want to watch out for it. So the next round up, unfortunately, economy doesn't look too good for KRX, but they are close to, you know, some pretty darn strong ultimates. You kind of maybe play around this round as much as possible, but you would imagine this timeout is meant for the next one.
100%. Jeremy, obviously very, very experienced. According to the interview that Full Sense did, they think he's a bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. It seems like Full Sense is a little less scared of KRX than what they are of Nongshim and PaperX. Right? There's like that mechanical diff that they feel like maybe is in the server there against Nongshim and PaperX. That's words from their mouths, not mine, by the way.
Yeah.
Whereas they're not as worried about that maybe against KRX, which is an interesting thought given how well Hyunmin has started this map, for example. He's been a mechanical diff in the server, I would say.
That is true. But I think that's always an interesting discussion about, you know, how KRX, or how they can fare off against, you know, more mechanically well-tuned teams, perhaps, is the fact that KRX, especially with Termi as coach, they have to work off of, you know, the system that they have put in place. It's a lot of drills, a lot of scripts as to how they want to approach rounds, and if things don't go well, then they might kind of lose track of how the plan is meant to go. That said, though, I feel like KRX has also kind of gone through that slight evolution ever since losing, you know, key players of the team, Buzz, Stacks even. And now it's, you know, you're looking at guys like Hyunmin. They look a little bit more free flow now, especially with Bane at the helm. He's been doing incredible calls for the team. Obviously, maybe not that much against PaperX, where they're just lost. But we also do have a tech pause coming in. Full Sense, a lot of brawls. I think that's what you expect from this team. And that's where they do their best as well, because that's where Primi shines.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think unlocking Primi has been very much the key to success for Full Sense throughout the regular season so far. I mean, he's been, I think, almost definitely the standout for Full Sense. I struggled to think of a bad map that he has had. You know, you obviously felt like there was that 1-2 punch between Primi and Kahlua right at the start of the season, but it kind of was a little bit of a slowdown in the mid to sort of late stages of the season for Kahlua. So maybe looking at his individual level to try to pick up throughout the playoffs and see whether or not that's going to maybe be what Full Sense can use to sort of leapfrog their way to London. You know, I know this is a team that has had some success qualifying to play internationally, but in terms of the results internationally, certainly haven't been quite on the same level of KRX. So
yes,
it's, you know, it's kind of like another attempt here for Full Sense, which is a team that it really feels like if they're at their peak, if they're hitting their level, definitely they can contest on that top level. But how often are they hitting that level?
Yeah.
Can they hit it at the right time as well? You know, it's all well and good to come in at the start of the season and look absolutely banger for 2-3 weeks and then, you know, fumble the bag in playoffs or even qualify internationally and then just get absolutely domed.
You never know. I mean, I mean, welcome to the Quack and Elfish Guy podcast. A new one. I know you have your own.
What do you want to call it? Quacking guy?
Quacking guy.
Quacking guy? Quackish guy?
I have no idea.
El Quack guy?
El Quack. That sounds Spanish, Mexican? No, that's not us. Something about a pond, perhaps, where you have elves and ducks and...
True.
No, that's terrible. But no, yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to think about it. I think Talon might have made an international appearance before, but this would be obviously a whole different story because it's the Thai coaching staff as well, and they bring their own ideas to it. We've seen, I think, in the first 3 weeks, the teams that they played against, the way that Full Sense operated was incredibly, fast. I don't want to use the word abuse, but they really played with that Waylay a lot, and that's where I think Primi did so much, because the way that he would, dash in, saturate, he's like thinking miles ahead of opponents, and he's always just able to get into that state where he's just fragging out. But as we saw, once Waylay had that nerf or the patch change coming in, week 4 onwards, they didn't do so hot. Now they're changing up the compositions. Onto the Phoenix sometimes, still doing pretty decent. But in that game against like T1, for example, that's where players like Stacks on Pearl is able to play spoiler to how Full Sense wants to operate. And again, that's ultimately where all the planning falls apart. So thinking about something like today, especially with Double Duelist, the KRX composition, I'm not entirely sure, gotta be honest. It's all very dependent on how well they're able to play around this composition, how well Primi and Killua could go off, maybe even how well KRX has adapted to it. This is a challenge pause.
Yeah, there's conversation happening in the background as far as I know. What do you think about the way forward? T1, obviously the team waiting for the winner, and Nongshim, the team waiting for the loser. That feels a pretty tough ask, even if Nongshim have been a little bit, let's say, up and down this season. Yeah, it's a nice way to say it. Still a scary prospect. If they click at the right time, they could do some damage.
Yeah, you can't fault that. That's definitely true. I mean, I feel like a KRX potentially against Nongshim would be a whole other thing, because you're never quite entirely sure how, the Phoenixes can clash head to head. And then again, it's Francis on that Neon now that you're still thinking about. Obviously, I think form-wise, they just looked all out of sorts last week, so you're not entirely sure what it looks like. But KRX, on the other hand, it's just one slight misnomer against KRX. Other than that, they've been quite flawless, looking incredibly strong even. One of the first teams to adopt that Phoenix in our stage 1 of Pacific, where Hyunmin's just able to go, round after round with run it back. So against a team like Nongshim, yeah, the power rankings are pretty clear, I think, for now. But
yeah, we've got the update.
Going in pretty soon.
So you were wondering what a challenge pause is?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, KRX apparently called for a challenge because they thought that Full Sense might have used a prohibited action, but after the investigation from the admin team, it was found that there was no abuse. So we will be resuming at the 3-2 score. So no harm, no foul.
I wonder what that could have been. Maybe some kind of way to work around the Vise wall or something, perhaps. But
yeah, I have no idea. Could be anything.
Either way, nothing found, so we'll keep on going. KRX back on the attack, where not going to have that many guns this time around, but met with full force. Leviathan's going to back off, while the rest of the team from Full Sense starts to try to find other paths to clash with KRX.
Dropping spike.
C and B are clear.
I mean, what are you really going to do in this round, though, if you're KRX? It's really on Hyunmin to open things up.
It's down to playing that passive style, right? Try to bait out Full Sense as much as possible, and that would be Primi right now. Why not?
Does look like they're going to get to walk their way in. Boombot will lead the charge, Dark Cover to provide a little bit of room to work. And Plant goes down, which I think is a bit of a win, actually, as far as KRX are concerned. Anything can happen from here on out. You've got a deep lurk at the moment from Bane, so that could potentially come into play, but the real question is, what can Hyunmin do? And the answer is absolutely nothing. Taken down by Leviathan. Round is pretty much over as a result of that, and so Full Sense right back to their winning ways. 3-3 will be the score.
Just incredible. Instantly shifted over onto a retake setup, clearing out some forward space, coming on towards the back. Got the flash coming in, and everyone just to trade off of it. Still rather flawless, almost, apart from Jit Boys. for Full Sense. 3-3, and they can carry forward with this momentum as well. I mean, if they continue to break KRX's economy, then this map would have really escaped KRX, which would make you worry, but for now it still looks rather even. Think about the upcoming round as to how KRX wants to approach it, because Full Sense is quite fond of taking a lot of forward space on the extremities of the map.
Big setup towards C. And I imagine that'll be where KRX are going to invest their resources. They've got a lot of them. TP forward as well from Marco. Try and take that space alongside the boombot. Prowler's going to go through now as well. So that is a lot of util already used to try and push their way forward, KRX. They're not into C just yet, and they might not be getting into C, though the dark cover is not going to delay them for very long. KRX are just going to try and batter down the door, the showstopper. Not going to land. It is enough, though, for Full Sense to respect it and back off. Play for the retake.
Yeah, wait out those key pieces of utility. Maybe bait out the Nightfall, but...
High-low setup works, 1 for 1. Nightfall will slow things down, certainly. There's a TP in here from Marco just to try to get a bit of info. Has a little bit of a look, doesn't see anything too concerning, but dark cover does go through, which will make for a bit more of a difficult attempt. Spike's not even planted though, so at this point, Full Sense are wondering what's going on. They're trying to push for information. That's Jitboy's there into B. He'll drop. Now the TP back over from Leviathan to A. Full Sense are completely bamboozled. They've got no idea where KRX are going.
It's so tough. You just have to go for that full reset, try to work together as a trio, but in all that time, you have no idea where Hermes could be, and that's why they are so careful, tiptoeing all around this backside position. Just still trying to find this one lurker. Oh no.
Yeah, timing's perfect here for Hermes, isn't it? They can't keep watching behind them. Primi though, he knows. He's got a spider sense tingling. Brings back to 3-on-3. Bane, crucial here as the double swing comes through. Maybe there's a chance still for Full Sense. Ring will fall as well, and now it's down to Marco, who can't get it done. Primi finishes it off. Defuse will be gifted over to him as well for that extra ult stack. And Full Sense put together a really chaotic round. I like that a lot from them.
Yeah, so difficult to call around, and that's where I think the mid-rounding from, you know, when Cruz is gone, Primi, Killua perhaps, are ones to be able to string it together. I mean, it all comes down to, all right, we know Hermes is somewhere lurking around. Let's just still focus on the matter at hand. If we take too long, the spike could go off, so just careful with a double swing out of smokes. Primi comes back in to check towards the flank at the last second and still managed to take down Hermes, and that's where they are able to focus everything down onto the matter. Next run up, and that's where it's KRX in a bit of a troublesome conundrum. All pistols, and just a judge for freeing it. They look to dump everything onto B site.
Yeah, they're really not messing about, are they, KRX? This time, Hyunmin alone, isolated, by the way, getting the job done. Entry frag onto Killua. Leviathan is trying to salvage, and his head gets ripped off as well, and then it's Jitboy's turn. Everywhere you turn, in fact, for Full Sense, they are just losing their lives one by one. The soldiers will fall.
What are we doing?
They're going in one by one, Quack. And they're all dying. That's what's happening.
I just gotta imagine Cruz is not too happy about that.
No.
More rounds like that, he might be the one growing, you know, gray hairs more so than Frost at some point. Really unfortunate. You could tell they got a little bit overeager, seeing that, oh, it's just one guy out of the wall. Let's go get him.
It's just one guy.
And then that one guy turns into 4 more, and you're feeding them on E1s now just to try to hold on to the op as much as possible. But it's rounds like these that, you know, Full Sense really needs to find consistency off of.
All right, well, how about we just give Premier Bladestorm? That'll be good. A few more kills on the back. Not too bad. But again, obviously not going to be able to hold on to the op. 13-5 for Primi. He is the shining light of hope at the moment for Full Sense, and he's charged up another ulti, so we'll see whether or not that can make amends for what happened in this round. It's just a real mess. Hyunmin getting that opening pick. As you say, it kind of just pulls that flood through, but it's not really fair to call it a flood. It's more of a trickle, really, from KRX.
Yeah.
They go one by one, and then you're just getting picked one by one, and that round is, yeah, very poorly played by Full Sense. They need to look at that one and try to recover it.
At least they'll be able to buy back up, but no more operator this time around, and we're back over onto an A-Rubble fight.
Another big one by the looks of things, as Primi will dash forward right into the loving arms of Marco. Hermes is there as well to dislodge Jitboys, and it's, again, just one by one. Full Sense are falling. There's House of Cards coming apart pretty quickly. Leviathan has something to say about it with the double. There's only so much you can do in a 2v5. Now it's onto Cruz with a 1v3. His position noted as well. Those shots onto Hermes will give it away. Spike plant goes down, swing in from Bane and Cruz, and it will go the way of KRX. So it's been a pretty pacey last couple of rounds.
Yeah, that would be the lead taken by KRX, however. Pacey as much as you would like, but I think Full Sense are not quite able to play around this composition. That's where the problem starts to happen. You know, usually with the A-Rebel fight, you would bank on a Seize nade or something like that. But for this, it's a double duelist. Primi didn't have an operator. So why are we trying to position ourselves towards this spot where on the other side, you would have nades being sent across. You would have Mako trying to reposition off of the TP. It's really odd. It's not welcome. It's not what you want to have. And once you've lost footing over this momentum, you don't have the op anymore. It's a little bit tougher, I think, for Full Sense to try to play aggressively around the defense. It's that double duelist, and if you're not doing what KRX did with this composition, if it's not something popping off, it's just Primi popping off trying to hold on to the operator, it's unfortunately not really going to work out. So even with this timeout coming in, I really want to think about what they're going to be doing as soon as the barrier drops. I mean, are we trying to take C Mound perhaps, run it back around while KRX just roams freely into the A site? That's not it either.
Well, it's a lonely job in the Full Sense coaching booth today, as mentioned previously. The away today, and Sushi Boy is taking the reins solo, so might not make for as ideal circumstances as possible for Full Sense, but they did say they could get it done. I think that was a quote from Cruz, and see whether or not that ends up being the case here, as Full Sense opt to go for a little bit of a forward play outside of C. You've got the Blade Storm out already for Primi, so they are obviously trying to make something happen in this round, but they've got their forces on the wrong side of the map.
Yeah, it's just okay. They could potentially start to push out on a timing, but the thing is, KRX is so aware of it. You can tell by how they're keeping their crosshairs trained towards the back. Meanwhile, it's a lot of trust into the Vi's utility on A site. Cruz is just a sheriff. If he goes down early on, all that utility is useless. You have to be so careful around this boombot.
I mean, what you got to be aware of as well, though, is Cruz is a bit of a Giga Chad in and out of the server. So, one-man army holding down the A site could maybe sneak out past that dark cover on the wall, and that looks to be what he wants to think about. He decides not to. Primi round the back, can't get the better of Hermes, who was watching for that lurk, and I think that was really what Full Sense needed to open this round up. Now they might just be cannon fodder, you would think, although that Sheriff has done some damage from Jip Boys, and there's a chance in here. Cruz, 2 shots, no hits. Mako getting the job done for the team now, and KRX again stabilizing another round. They will lose Mako for their trouble, but time's becoming a bit of a factor here, and Leviathan and Jip Boys don't have a lot to work with left. Dark cover out. Boombot as well. They might be able to get a half off the back of that. The tap is on. Leviathan holding it. Will be dealt with. And Jip Boy's down to 30 HP off the back of it. He will get that fade away onto freeing, but no more. 6-4 as KRX starting to pull ahead a little bit now on Lotus.
Maybe a little bit more so as well. Unless this round means something. Primi pulling back out the operator. I mean, just looking at how it all plays out, it would be Mako into the pivot position towards the back end. He does get silenced by the nade at the very end, but just with how he's able to come in with a slight double kill really prevents Full Sense from getting into position for that retake. Slight consolation prize would also be Jit Boys onto another showstopper. So that could be something lovely for a potential retake or two. KRX trying to take things a little bit more slowly now, knowing the potential threats on the other side of the map.
Once again, you got Primi pushing his way forward, but yeah, this time solo, so much heftier defense towards B. There's 3 players here. KRX are going to try the same strategy, send Hyunmin in, but this time Jip Boys is there for the double! Call it a showstopper, that's exactly what it is for KRX. They have been stopped in their tracks on their way into B.
Steel Garden though, and that's going to give them the spike plant. Primi and everyone just trying to surround them as much as possible, find the right timings to launch the retake.
Spike planted.
Spike goes down nice and quick. Primi though, as quick as you like, also onto Hermes, brings it back to a 4v2. Leviathan ensures that Marco can't see anything, and Primi, again, he is making it no mistake. God, this guy is good. Full sense 5. KRX at 6, 1 round left in the half.
Yeah, Primi's great. Let's not forget your boys, though.
Oh, yeah.
Big showstopper.
Nice double.
Much more what you would have wanted to see in that previous round. We're just kind of running through the pages of the KRX strat book right now. 3 sides on the map, and they choose to end up back towards B. Quick on a dime, but that's one of those strats where if you're quick, yeah, but if you're not able to work off the spike plant more, unfortunately, you're going off of poor map control, and that's where Full Sense are able to surround you. So big collision off of Paranoia and everything, and they're just able to come back in through fully. Once again, it's Full Sense trying to work off what has worked for them, and just see mount control with Primi on this op.
They've been seeing that aggression a couple of rounds in a row, and this time they have an answer for it. KRX already trying to put that pressure back onto Primi, but this time Cruz is there to assist, and so freeing goes a little bit too deep.
Spike planted.
Okay. TP all the way towards the back, but spotted out.
That's embarrassing. Not what you want after you TP deep in behind enemy lines. Marco showing him how it's done, gets Cruz in the back of the head. Flash doesn't quite connect onto Hyunmin, but spikes down, and Primi looking to get aggressive again, just does not miss. And he's got another chance for one more. Prowler will unsettle him, but it doesn't matter. He can do it with whatever you throw at him. 1v1, Primi surely got to be on for it. Half already, but Marco is fearless on the peak. 7-5. KRX take the lead.
Switching sides.
7-5 now.
I mean, it's 7-5 favoring KRX with Primi going 17-8 or something like that. You can't ask for him to do much more.
A lot of those kills are because he was trying to save
kills. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I've got play-by-play brain. I see big number good.
I mean, I'm in that same line of thinking as well, man. But thinking about this round, though, there were such a good attempts with how he's able to dive back in, off to the shorty, picks up a Phantom, but at the end, it's just Mako still being able to provide that X factor for KRX. He's gone, you know, a little bit more quiet sometimes, but it's always going to be that rock for the Korean team. Not for Full Sense, though. I mean, it's one of these rounds, again, where you're thinking about how they could potentially work around map control. That's pretty good. We're talking the drawing.
Bro's been waiting his whole life for this.
I know. It's just so on point. But yeah, just, again, all the ultimates and how they're able to play around it. The next half, though, and that's where you really need to think about what this double duelist could look like for Full Sense. Pilsky was kind of theory crafting around the fact that Jet and Raze could kind of bypass the sheer wall of Hermes, maybe.
Right.
And that could be a little bit nerve-wracking for, you know, I guess a rookie, a 6th man, who was there in kickoff, but suddenly brought back in at this point in time, at playoffs, where if you lose twice, you're out of the bracket.
1-5 record against KRX in VCT Pacific is not a great track record for Cruz. And look, I mean, it's early days, but KRX have got the lead, so on their way to making that a 1-6 record. Spotting a couple of players out towards Mound will just back up, and maybe you have to play for the retake here. There's no defense to be mounted on C.
Wow. Yeah, just all the way back. Go full retake.
Flash forward, Primi trying to get aggressive. Overstays his welcome though, and Mako, who has essentially been his counterpart at the top of the scoreboard on the other side of the field, puts him down, freeing in for one now as well. It is starting to fall apart for Full Sense though. They pull it back. Shots in from Bane. A little bit of a whiff. With some backs turned, we'll get the better of him, and it's all on the shoulders of Mako. No util to work with here, and a headshot through from Cruz will get the job done. Full Sense up to 6. They take the pistol in the second half, and they remain in the fight.
Oh yeah, with that secured, you can definitely start to put your dukes up for the upcoming rounds, and that's what Full Sense needs. It's just really lovely to see that they're able to find that stability. Quick recognition off the spike plane, not seeing anyone else on site, so you should go a little bit deeper and set up. And unfortunately, although Primi gets absolutely domed out towards the back of CT, Waterfall was what worked out a little bit better for them. The rest of the team still able to frag out, spinning around, even though Bane tries to go in for a staggered approach on the retake. So pretty lovely stuff. And they have to keep on with this momentum off to the next round. Starting to stream over again into the C side. Full 4 from KRX standing around.
Over the top, Primi. He doesn't know where to look. I don't even know how Primi's not got into the kill feed earlier. I was waiting for it for so long, but the entire team dies before Primi even gets a shot through. That was madness. Either way, he still manages to find his 2 at the back of the round. So 7-7 for Full Sense. They'll be happy with that as a conversion off the pistol.
And also a flawless one at that. So they're able to buy up and really try to convert this bonus. Take this second half by the horns. I mean, just flying across, but you can tell that execute well rehearsed. The flash, the way that he's like spinning his crosshair all around just to check around the corners, and actually does spot out the guy towards the end. So the next one up now, and KRX might start to get a little bit proactive now that they have the guns to work with.
Oh, early smoke through here from KRX. It's not going to slow Full Sense down at all. Another fast play toward the C side. It is just getting absolutely battered, and there is so little to be seen on this site. Everybody was blind, apart from Chip Boys. And he's very happy to take advantage of that fact. Full Sense straight on into C, and already putting pressure on KRX in the second half.
We'll lose our heads outside of smokes. It all dissipates.
Freeing. Gets himself 1. But again, very tough retake, 4-on-3. Plant's not down just yet. Chip Boys has the showstopper if required. Push comes to shove, but with Primi hitting the shots that he is, I don't really think it's going to be required. I reckon you just set him up to stand and deliver, and he is going to deliver. Might be on for another double here. There it is. I feel like Primi just, give him any number of targets and he'll deal with it accordingly.
We all have him on our build team, right?
I do.
Yeah, okay.
I think actually everybody but Pilski does. And look, I don't want to rub salt into the wound too much, but I'm pretty sure, if I have to have a guess, I think Pilski might be on for a 4th straight day of last place in the build diff, which, to be fair, he kind of has to. Like, he has to take a bit of a gamble now because
potentially
it's where he's at.
I tell you what, though, he's going to be pretty happy about his theory crafting, because he was absolutely right, bang on. In fact, the shear wall was set up around C site, but Primi and Chit Boys just fly across it, in with the judge, and somehow KRX are just not able to respond because of that flash from Cruz into sight. Suddenly now, though, taking things a little bit more slow. Potential for judges on the other side with KRX. Playing around corners, it's just freeing out towards C site for now, having seen multiple executes towards this portion of the map. Full Sense, however, it's Primi with an outlaw, and he's starting to clear out A site. Oh my.
Ooh. There's a showstopper in there as well. It's good for just the one this time for Chip Boys, but he's still able to double down. Seems like any time he presses that ult key, it's worth 2 kills in one way or another.
Oh, look at Primi. Seeing nothing on A site. He's just going to push a little bit deeper. His opponents all have light shield, so the shots would be 1 hit, 1 kill. KRX just trying to find the right rotations over, but it's Primi around the corner.
Oh, no, Bane. Not like this. No! It's okay. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw it. It wasn't on stream. To thousands of people.
30 seconds left.
It happens.
It's rounds like that, or moments like that, that reminds you, Valorant's a game. Enjoy it. Have fun. It's a little bit of whimsy here.
I don't think there's much to enjoy about that if you're Bane.
It's silly at times, but nonetheless, the round was already decided when that C-mount collision ended with the way of Full Sense. Setting up outside of it, they dodged the flashes, they got the kills necessary, and now you're looking at 2v4. Mako might have the outlaw, but you don't imagine he's going to be able to do much off of it.
No. Dark cover going to go through. Marco trying to isolate some angles, but it's not really going to be troubling Full Sense at all.
Just to die to the spike. Full Sense probably to exit through mounds. And once again, they've kind of done pretty well. Just recognizing, calling around it. Suddenly, KRX expecting the execute outside. They hold themselves up, while Primi just sees absolutely nothing around A site, which kind of informed how the round would play out as well. So very much in control of this second half so far. 4 in a row, just to give themselves that lead. KRX, of course, should be able to buy it back up onto the next. And that's where you want to think about how Full Sense might approach it. Do they take things a little bit more slowly? Do we have the timeout from Coach Termi? Not quite happy with how things have been working out for KRX.
No, I can totally understand it, right? It felt like KRX was pretty in command of this game. I mean, there was a couple of moments definitely for Full Sense in that first half, but 4 on the trot now in the second half. Full Sense on the attack have been a real handful for KRX, and I have to say none of these rounds have even looked really competitive for KRX either.
Yeah.
They've kind of just been getting rolled in this second half, so that's where you definitely need to make an adaptation, put in some kind of idea that just changes the momentum somewhat.
It's pretty tricky though, because with a composition like this, especially when you're playing against Full Sense, who are able to switch up their pace on a dime. Like, suddenly you're seeing a C's nade outside of A. All right, Full Sense is just going to dive straight through into C because they have double duelists and they have that mobility to do so. So for KRX, I mean, what's the call? You go switch over into something a little bit more passive, more reactive? A little bit more trust in all the defensive setups that you could have with the Sheer and the Vise.
It's a bold call,
Kinda
actually.
looks like it.
It's a 4-1 split, though.
Ooh. Yeah, well, we've seen a lot of C activations from Full Sense for the past few rounds, so I guess that's what it is, but Full Sense with a read over onto A.
Hermes just going to go back over to B, so dumps his util on C and then sort of anchoring the B side, but you've still very much got that set up over towards C, and you're right in saying that KRX might be expecting the offense in the direction of C. It's not going to prove to be the correct call this time around.
So, kind of recall as much of the util as possible, or not. Arc goes a little bit too far from Hermes. Everyone just to rotate over and try to shore up defense and stuff on A side as much as possible. But Full Sense still have the option to go back over to B. They break down Baby Door, and that's always a route. Just trying to poke around to see who's nearby.
Has definitely prompted the response out of KRX. They've started to rotate their way across. Premier's spotted one, he thinks. Ready to dash back out to safety. In fact, dances in. Oh, yeah. He felt like he survived for way too long. Again, Bane. That would have been not what he wanted out of that one. But it is starting to come back together for KRX. Jib Boys will fall. Flash avoided. And Freeing is doing it all himself. Can't get back out to safety, but will be traded out by Marco. That's nice. You need an individual to step up here for KRX to get them back into the game. And that might be it.
Yeah, don't let this gap get too far away from you. And Freeing would be the one to do it. I mean, you kind of just applaud the whole team as well. This play was incredibly flashy and fun to watch. Dodges the flash, slides in across, gets the spree transfer down. But apart from that, it's just back to basics for the Korean team. Decent and full map control, working around, you know, information that you would have gathered otherwise. Primi unfortunately separated from a team, so not really what you want to have for the Thai squad. Back over 4-1 with more attention over onto C site. KRX still keeping numbers out towards this portion of the map 3-1-1.
Still, you got to wonder, if Freeing goes down there, how does that round look? Can't rely on a triple kill to win you the round every single time. Full Sense are going to default back to what's been working, and that has been the C hits, and this time they run right into Marco, who has actually been able to get the smoke down in main. Of course, a couple of players already out. He spots that and gets another one, but Freeing can't manage much, and so in the end, Full Sense actually still able to brawl their way into this C site.
Close by is Hermes and Bane, however. Operator, though.
Spike's not down just yet. So time's still working in the favor of KRX for the moment. Jip Boys just trying to maybe see if he can bait any shots out. We'll bait the push out here from KRX. Screws. Awkward timing. Util in hand. Hermes goes forward but is traded back. So now it's all on the shoulders of Cruz in the 1v1. Full Sense get another.
Pretty darn impressive. I mean, he was holding on to utility for quite a long while, and I was wondering why. He could have set up a flash to allow for some kind of a reaction, but instead sets up the Thorns. Unfortunately, I think it was Jit Boys that dies, but instantly off of it, he's able to reposition out towards the back, and that's where he finds the headshot angle. I mean, pretty strong take still. Double duelist dives in, and although Mako was able to withstand that storm for the time being, the trade still is where Full Sense comes out on top, and that's the name of their game.
Yeah, I think Full Sense in their heads a little bit. Showstopper. Uh-oh, I don't know that you're getting out of that one. Hyunmin could not back up fast enough. Marco completely blind. Beautiful layering of the paranoia. Perfect timing. And this round is a clean one by the looks of things for Full Sense. I might have spoken too soon though. Jitboys is going to try to push his way up the rope. That is overlooked by Freeing. Jitboy's on for the ace right now. That's 4. And on for one more. Hermes can't stave it off. The ace through for Full Sense. 11-8. They are on a rampage now.
I feel like that's one of those plays that kind of puts you into the Rays Hall of Fame. Instant pickup off Showstopper, and you just go further and further with it. I mean, we've seen players like Jing do just that. And this time, it's Jitboys, a guy who was put on Sentinel duty for a majority of his career, suddenly now into the duelists in this meta. I mean, hiding right underneath off of Heaven and being able to sneak up outside of that Nightfall. I mean, incredible timing onto it as well, but we go back to A-Rubble again.
Hold the press. Primmy's not going to get out of there alive. Hyunmin just bops him. All right, reset. That's not worked out for Full Sense. I was going to say I'm getting a little bit worried now for KRX. You know, it sort of feels like they've run out of steam a little bit. Full Sense getting away with a lot, doing whatever they want on this attack and kind of making it work, but just slow that momentum down a little bit. TP across and Jitboys trips the wall, but again, C is left open and Full Sense will be essentially given the site, given the plan, the push forward here from Jitboys. How does he deal with Freeing on a line like that? 10 HP, survives the shot, backs away. Now we're back to 4-on-4. Still no post plan though.
Maybe you plant. Steel Garden Showstopper could be quite effective for KRX. But look at how they're wrapping around. What?
Oh, TP back over to A.
He didn't see him.
That's
Full
Marco.
Sense gets to sneak into B site. Still though.
Are they going to go B or are they going to go A? They're going to keep going.
Oh.
30 seconds left.
Well, that's pretty crafty. You get the spike down. Actually, wait, are we going all the way back around? Hold on.
No,
Hold on.
Surely not wrapping all the way back to C here.
Just Jitboys.
This is just trying to get a cheeky plan on A and have some real space held in toward the middle of the map.
This is incredible.
That's going to be a really tough rotate for KRX. Obviously, you've got Marco, you know, behind tree. It'll be an interesting position for him to maybe play this from, but this setup from Jitboys should get at least one, if not maybe more than that, as he has been clearing up a few heads.
Didn't he just use Showstopper like a couple rounds ago? He already has it again.
Literally last round, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Leviathan, easy clean up on DeMarco. Yeah, Full Sense. They are just reading KRX like a book at the moment. Doesn't seem like KRX can get any avenue of attack back in. So it'll be 12 on the board for Full Sense and back them to close this map out pretty comfortably now.
Only one round in defense picked up by KRX. Clear, glaring gaps with how this setup works against a double duelist, especially of Full Sense's caliber. Jitboys just taking charge of round after round. Sprimmy might have died earlier on with the C's nade being sent in, but instantly over onto C side, and even with the sheer wall, even with the thorns, it all gets broken up. And we go back into it again where on their last legs of this map, at least, KRX tries to shore up their defenses over onto A site. A lot of trust once again over onto sheer wall.
Well, this will be a brawl once again. Primmy, though, this time able to get across. Doesn't matter. Freeing still deals with him. Marco as well onto Leviathan. So these early hits towards A, towards the rubble, not really working out for Full Sense. They've had much more success with the fast plays in towards C. Going to try and recover it here, but that's not going to work at all. KRX just sweeping them aside. So I think back to the drawing board for Full Sense. They've tried the rubble fight a couple of rounds in a row. It hasn't really worked out as a initial hit. So maybe we see them change things up coming into this next round.
Possibly. I imagine they're quite happy with this one, though. I mean, even though they've lost a round, it's Showstopper pulled out. It's one less thing to worry about against KRX, where I think it's just Hermes with that Steel Garden now. Meanwhile, Full Sense sitting on 4 ultimates, dude.
Yeah. I mean, this might be it, right? Like, rip the Showstopper, rip the Blade Storm. And that's pretty much that. That's really all you're going to need. I feel like the way the entries are coming through. Jitboys, again. Primmy does go down, though, for his trouble. These A hits have not been good for him, but Jitboys has just been absolutely fragging up a Storm. Leviathan makes a meal of the spray on the Bane. Back into a 3-on-3. Freeing's around the back. Ooh. It's another one of these weird rounds that's going to be very much decided by the mid-round decisions.
Seemingly chaotic, but feels as though the call for full sense would be to just stick together as much as possible and try to pull something up.
Spike just chilling.
I'm a little bit worried, yes. Killua doesn't see much else, so heads back over onto C site with the rest of the
Surely you can't hang around here for too long with the spike. If this push comes through from KRX and they pick up Killua, that would be criminal. They don't, in the end, elect to push any further, though. That Prowler's starting to clear things out.
Oh, he's calling that he hears it.
Rotate coming back from Killua, though. Meanwhile, Jitboy's still walking his way out. See, this is awkward. And it all comes down to the shots. It's going to go the way of full sense. That might just be the map in a couple of bullets.
Certainly would have to be. If Cruz Killua goes down, at least there's still Jitboys all the way towards the back, and they're choosing with the B as their destination.
Yeah, Freeing hot on their heels as much as he can be, but still going to be watched for and now spotted out. Has to try and make it happen. Flash disrupts him a little bit. It's not the cleanest of kills, but it is at least one that gives him the chance in this round. Oh, what a shot! Straight through the fast lane, gets the better of Killua. Is it maybe still possible here for KRX? Surely not with a line like that from Jitboys, who shuts it down. Full sense will take map 1 against KRX.
Pretty swiftly, I would think. You saw a little bit of back and forth, but onto this second half is where full sense really comes into full form. Double duelist all day, every day, baby. And they're just going all around the sites. Double dive into C, double satchel over into A as well. And it just bypasses so much of what KRX would have wanted to pull off. The C's nade, the sheer walls, it all gets bypassed completely. In that last round as well, I mean, just masterful mid-rounding, and I think that's where they set themselves apart from KRX in this map. Just being a little bit more passive, listen out for info, and once they knew KRX would start to overextend, try to set up some kind of a flank, thinking that Full Sense were trying to end up on C. Nah, it's a surprise play from Killua and Cruz. I mean, just incredible.
Hyunmin just getting a little bit humbled as well, right? Like, I think a lot of the conversation at the start of the map was Hyunmin's looking really good. He got 5 or 6 kills in 2 rounds and then ended up on 12 total. On the other side of the field, you've got your duelists, Jitboys and Primis, both having such a stellar map. I mean, 26 and 22 respectively. I know it's been Primi, the whole conversation in the lead-up. And then Jitboys kind of pops off as well and reminds us what he can do. So I think this is looking like a great day at the office today for Full Sense.
I mean, if this is the form at which they're operating, this much fluidity, it really makes you wonder how Fracture's going to look.
And there you have it. We have Full Sense taking that first map away from not RRQ, KRX. I mean, yes.
We're still not over it.
No, yes,
Huge win for
G winning, but Full Sense.
They won't let us forget about it. It's the GE fans.
Absolutely not. We're here, guys. Don't worry.
Oh my
God. As you can see, Full Sense here won on that stage.
Something's blown up. Something has blown up.
No, we're just advancing into Vietnam and doing like that puppet
You know
theater.
what it is? Everyone's so surprised at how good this double duelist was. Nobody was ready for the map to end this fast. For Jitboys to drop that many kills. we go again. Reload the graphic one more time.
We just got paranoia. That's what happened there. But Full Sense take this map, and towards the later half, it was very, very convincing. There was just this renewed energy from the team, and it was just really, really fun to watch this Full Sense team just really come into their own.
I feel like they did a great job. Honestly, I loved the comp swap, and you can see just how enabled both of these duelist players are. This was a real 1-2 punch, especially in that second half, where you just knew once they got into the attack, got the ball rolling, KRX didn't really stand much chance.
It's just great to see Jitboys back on an aggressive role when he's playing this well. We know how sharp this guy can be. I almost feel like he's kind of just been neutered by playing either an IGL or like a passive kind of lurking style. Jitboys is unleashed now, 350 ACS on the raise. It was, I mean, I was looking at Primi the whole game like, wow, Primi's carrying them, and Jitboys just like aced and then like 3K and then 4K in the second half. I was like, oh, that's the game. This dude is just cooking him.
I remember when he was here on the desk and we were asking him like, oh, how do you feel now that you don't need to IGL? And he's just like, oh, thank God, I don't have to IGL anymore.
Yeah.
This is actually what he wants to do, and he is having so much fun with it as well. It is so nice seeing Full Sense actually be able to do what they really do excel at, and it's part of that is, again, Cruz coming back and everything falling into place for Full Sense. And we saw it as well in so many rounds, right? Like how they were able to really maximize the double duelist.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we were theory crafting, is the Vice that they're playing into. They saw what Paper X was able to do. I don't even think you saw Paper X do this as much, but one thing's for sure, Full Sense were hitting that C site as hard as Young hit the bench.
I love... my goodness.
Oh my God.
This is such fantastic conditioning when you're playing this comp. You really send a message of like, hey, C is open for us. And this is why I love that double duelist adjustment. So meta is always kind of cyclical, right? Neon is strong, so that makes stopping it with the Vice very strong, which then in turn means being able to send 2 people past it with ease with Jet Rays. That makes this strong. It's evolving and it's evolving, and I think Full Sense one step ahead there in the evolution of the meta.
I love that burst style. Like, honestly, you know, just being able to, on a dime, updraft dash, satchel, paranoia, or guiding light, maybe both at the same time. You're just hitting everything at once. And really, the players that are anchoring that side as KRX, you've got a second to make the right decision or be in the right place. And unfortunately, if you're not, the site's just folded and you've lost.
Yeah, exactly what happened so many times for KRX, right? And when you have Jit Boys and when you have Primi as, you know, those sort of like dual wielding 2 spears here.
Yeah, I mean, I think both the duelists there were great. I want to talk a bit more about Primi. I think especially in the start of this map where it was a little bit close and a little bit more contested, he was the one really doing the most. I do think Jit Boys came alive in that second half though. He really did help him out. But this is what we've come to expect from Primi. And I also love the fact that now he's on the Jet instead of the Phoenix, he's able to pick up these scope weapons again.
Yeah, the op, I mean, I really does feel like Full Sense is taking a lot of inspiration from Paper X, and they were able to best KRX. But we've got to ask this question. This isn't even a dunk on Hermes, guys. This is a question mark to the coaching staff of KRX. You've left Lotus in the veto. You've taken Yong off of the active role. This is his best map, and you've put Hermes in there on the Vice, and he's done the best that he could, realistically. Yeah. But you still haven't won this map, and you still haven't looked great on Lotus after getting folded by Paper X running a very similar comp. You haven't come up with the answers.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game was so tough for Hermes because he has to try and hold site against that incredibly fast double duelist.
It's probably the worst comp to play Vice into, honestly.
Yeah, it's tough for anyone, but he did have a real struggle on the map where we know Young has been so successful. So if you're going to make this change as the coaching staff, I need to see something from Hermes in map 2. Show me why this is a good change for you guys right now. Yeah. We're scratching our heads.
It is a head scratcher indeed. And of course, we don't exactly know the circumstances as to why the switch out was. I mean, it could be personal reasons. There was no official statement yet.
Yeah, we don't know.
But it is just so unfortunate because this is Young's map. He put up such a memorable performance on Lotus, and you're in playoffs as well. Now Full Sense is 1 map ahead, and we are heading into map 2, which will be Fractured.
I mean, again, I'm looking at KRX. They picked this map. Young played somewhat of an instrumental role on this map. He had a lot of different Cypher setups. He was never fantastic in comparison to his chamber performances, but he was just kind of doing his job. We have seen Hermes fill Cypher before. I'm wondering if they're going to change up the comp at all. For Full Sense, they played it twice, 50-50 win rate. They did manage to best Zeta early on in the group, but when they played RRQ on this map, they got folded in half, man.
Yeah, I think that's going to be so pivotal to me. I would love to see them swap away from this Waylay. When they lost it to Genji, it was week 4. The Waylay nerfs had hit, and they got rolled 13-3 on this map. I think KRX picking this as a clear weakness. So for Full Sense, give me some adaptation here. I don't want to see them run this back.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to actually switch things up. And because of that first map win, the team seems to be feeling good as well, and everything seems to be, you know, towards their favor. Yeah. So I would think that this would be the time where they actually can switch things up, and it could work so well for them. So we'll see indeed if that does happen. But for KRX, again, question marks all around how they're going to play, not only with this map, but also with, you know, the swap from Young to Hermes.
Yeah, I mean, they've even swapped up their comp on this map. They were previously playing Breach Teo so early on with the Waylay, but as the Waylay nerfs hit, they were quite happy to swap into double duelists, and it's something that worked quite well against GE. They were playing up against that Deadlock comp. That was very, very good calling from Bane in that series in particular. So I think that they can be reasonably confident in their Fracture, but I think Full Sense are pretty hot right now. I got to be honest, I'm really feeling them at the moment. We'll see if they can step up their game on Fracture compared to the RRQ series.
That's the story for me, where I feel like we talk so much about when Full Sense are at their ceiling, they look unstoppable, and I feel like they were playing towards that end of it, but I feel like KRX didn't really show up. They weren't winning those pivotal aim fights. I need to see them be alive in the server. Tactics and strategy is all good, but if you can't shoot your opponents in the head, you're never going to win.
Yeah, we'll see if that does happen, but for now, we're going to toss it to a quick interview on stage with our coaches and Bella. But before that, of course, big questions lie ahead for Full Sense, because we were saying how, like in Fracture, hey, they can do very well on this map, but this is also a map where they have hit their floor. I mean, they have taken pretty hard hits.
I'm waiting to see what Primy's going to play. I want to see him swap off the Waylay onto a different duelist, honestly.
Let's see what Bella and the coaches have to say about this next map.
All right, guess who I'm standing with? I'm standing here with KRX's coach Termi and Sushi Boys. Hello, good to see you. 안녕하세요. Well, first up, Termi, I feel like we have all the same question. What was the vision that you had in mind when you made such a big roster change? Let's hear it from Termi. 안 그래도 감독님 안녕하세요. 안 그래도 오늘 플레이오프 첫 경기부터 이제 출발이 조금은 아쉬우셨을 것 같은데 오늘 로터스에 대해서 조금 어느 점이 아쉬우셨는지 먼저 들어볼 수 있을까요?
일단 풀센스가 조합을 바꿔왔는데 저희도 뭐 조금의 변화는 있었지만 그냥 리테이크라든지 홀드 상황에서 사소한 실수 하나 차이였다고 생각하는 부분도 있고요. 그리고 수비 진영에서 운영적인 측면으로 저희가 조금 밀렸던 것 같고 그런 부분이 좀 아쉬워서 졌던 것 같습니다. 네.
I actually ended up asking about what fell short on their end for the Lotus, and they said, you know, Full Sense came with a different comp than we expected, and it was the little mistakes that happened on our defense side that actually made it snowball and made Full Sense take the map. All right, hello. Well, off to Sushi Boy. Hello, good to see you. Are you nervous? This is your first coach interview, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what difference are you bringing in? What's the Sushi Boy's touch that you're bringing for Full Sense today?
อะไรที่แตกต่างจากพี่ทีอ่ะพี่เอามาให้ฟูลเซนวันนี้
ก็หลักๆก็เป็นวิธีการเล่นแบบใหม่แล้วก็แผนใหม่ประมาณนั้นครับ
new play styles and new strategy
Oh, that's it. All right. Well, we'll look forward to more. All right. Thank you, Sushi Boys. Thank you, Termi. 감사합니다. All right. Best of luck to both of you. Bye-bye. You can go now.
Bye-bye, go golf coaches, go up. But,
Run!
Go, quickly. We're about to start. But wow, what a mysterious interview. Nobody really revealing much.
Yeah, I mean, you know, someone tell them that it's playoffs, they can be a little bit more excited, especially for Full Sense. You're one map away from advancing. But no, I think, you know, very level head, very calm as we move towards this Agent Select. On the side of Full Sense, we are seeing a swap, moving away from that Waylay. Now, Primy is on the Phoenix. This is not something we see a lot on Fracture because of how sort of different the map is, how closed it is. But, you know, on the bright side, there's a lot of orbs. You can really get that old snowballing.
Yeah, I was almost expecting the Jet yet again. It seemed to work very well for Primy, but they seem quite interchangeable with the Phoenix. Over on the side of KRX, they're backing themselves with the style that worked very well against GE. But playing up against this Full Sense comp is going to be very different from that game. This is double duelist versus that Deadlock comp, so you're going to have to see KRX continue to be adaptable and Bane get in there with some good calling.
Yeah, we'll see indeed if KRX can adapt, or will Full Sense actually take this one and be the team to advance further. We're going to toss it on over to your casters, Elfish and Quack, once more.
Yeah, here we go, map 2, and it is, of course, Full Sense that are really seeking revenge against KRX. I think is a good way that I want to go into this map, right? The matchup that they played in kickoff, it didn't go the way of Full Sense. It was at the hands of KRX. They kind of got a bit domed there, but now Full Sense is the team that's up 1-0, and they're looking pretty damn good. I mean, Primy and Chip Boys absolutely farming up a storm. Nobody really going astray either. And, well, is today the day that Full Sense actually
gets that win over KRX, and it seems like the production team's on the same train of thought as me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So is it time for revenge, Quack?
It could be. It could be.
Are you
Also
a
might
revenge
not.
guy? Are you a revenge guy, or are you like the bigger man? You just walk away.
No, I walk away.
You're a walk away guy.
Yeah. Gotta
Well,
be nice.
Hopefully Full Sense is not that nice.
Hopefully. I mean, with revenge on their minds, who knows what could happen. Maybe they get a little bit too lost in the sauce, perhaps, onto the attacking side.
I tell you what, if there was any map to get lost in the sauce, it would be Fracture.
Yeah, actually. It's fast defensive rotations. It's also 4 multiple lanes of attack, and that's where Leviathan is right now.
Cage up, just to try to get himself out to safety. He's all good.
And that pulls the attention away. 4 from Full Sense, on the other hand, on towards A site.
Yeah, there is a trip up there on A, so it can't be a quick entry. Leviathan has gone down as well. Prowler will actually deal with that trip for the moment. And Kalua out trying to find himself a duel. Will just have to back it up. Primi in the end is the first one to draw some blood here for Full Sense, but the forces are falling one by one. Cruz eventually gets that plant down. I don't know though, there's not that much room to play this post plant from for Full Sense. Doors opened up. Kalua's going to be watching that. Molly will slow things down. Do have Primi on the site, but very low. KRX just going to set themselves and go together. This is looking pretty tough for Full Sense. Their post plan is pretty one-dimensional.
Try to play for time, maybe?
They are certainly doing a pretty good job of that, and so far, only the one player dropping in this post plant. Kalua chiming back in with a couple now. Hang on, Kalua popping off. Doesn't quite have enough for the kills, but has he done it on the time? There's fist bumps for Full Sense. They think they might have got this. Defuse, not there. And Full Sense will win the pistol.
Way too close. 7-second mark just came in time. Despite the kills, yeah, it's just down to that wire. I mean, quick recognition. This one, you know, just trying to work their way around that 4-1 split. Taking a lot of damage, clearly, but also recognizing that, yeah, we've got Sense smoked off. They're more than likely to come back through door. Let's set up the molly there. And that's unfortunately how KRX starts to take a little bit too much time. And somehow Killua being able to save the day as well with all those multi-kills, which affords him a full Vandal on towards the next round, where KRX decides to get a little bit more proactive outside the tree.
Yeah, well, Kalua a little bit quieter on map 1. All the attention going the way of Primi and Jip Boys. And typically, I think it's been Kalua definitely that has had a big impact. This time, obviously, changing around for map 2. A little bit of recovering to be done here for Cruz, who does just have to back up. Smoke causing a little bit of trouble. KRX quite keen to push this one forward. They walk right into the trip. So that'll be an easy pickup for Cruz. Gunmin 1 for 1. Not enough to really trouble the scorers just yet. There's a couple of guns being lost by Full Sense, but not the end of the world. Can reinvest in a couple of upgrades in the next round, assuming they keep these 3 alive. I think they'll be pretty happy with how things have played out, and that will be secured. There's another rifle to go through, so just Primi and Cruz that are going to have to reinvest.
Yeah, I think the only major loss would have been that one Bulldog. Otherwise, 3 other rifles being set up towards the next round. I mean, it's one of these where Primi decides to go take an ego duel and ultimately gets just overwhelmed by way too many targets.
I can kind of understand why he's taking ego duels though. Like, he was
he's that guy.
winning pretty much every duel last map. So when it's flowing, when you're confident, definitely play that style.
Can be a double-edged sword, is all I'm saying. But for now, we're back over on towards more of an A split that gets sussed out by the Boombot. Nobody broke it.
Yeah. Not the end of the world. Leviathan tagged down to 60, but still healthy enough to have an impact on this round. Nade will just slow down the progression of Full Sense somewhat.
And that's what Big Time was talking about. A lot of orbs all across this map, and that's what Full Sense can farm up on as well. Cyphers have to get a little bit more proactive, especially with the cameras, just to try to spot out where your opponents could be. So Cam planted in towards Dish. KRX has their own towards Tree. But Full Sense otherwise playing all around the zip lines. They'll just regroup rendezvous all the way over towards A main and try to maybe find some kind of entry from this point forward.
Oh, peeking here for freeing. This is not ideal. 1, 2. Well, it shouldn't have been good, but it was.
Spacing not too great there for Full Sense. They just take a couple of individual duels and Freeing puts them to bed. Good night.
That's always the thing about this map. You're trying to want to go for a silent approach, and that's where you get spotted out.
Plan B for Full Sense is walking their way through sand, which with 15 seconds on the clock doesn't really feel like the percentage play to me. That is though going to go back their way. They've not really got time to do anything though, so it'll be a save.
Wow. Just taking the fault line. Stun me, I dare you. And they're still able to take down 2 players. I think that's what's always difficult about this map. KRX, quite confident with how they're playing as well. Talk about floors and ceilings, and Full Sense were the ones to suffer our most recent loss against RRQ, while KRX, having their own performances with it as well, but definitely trusting in their own ability to bring things back.
Once again, similar setup for Full Sense. Just got Leviathan up on the top side of the map. Try and spot things out towards B, towards the north spawn. That's his cam set up over there. And the rest of Full Sense working in tandem as a unit.
Relegate that aiming control away. Maybe try to play under tunnel somewhat, or just a clear B split.
Well, we haven't really seen a B hit so far. This will be the first attempt for Full Sense, and they are spotted out early by Hermes on that pixel line. Got the smokes available, and the fast lane up to cut the site in half as well. That's already quite a bit of space being taken, and a couple of players being pushed back, but Marco gets one on the fade away, and that might just be enough for KRX to be happy. Trip does get activated there by freeing on flank. Awkward timing for Leviathan, can't get up the rope. It's just not quite coming together for Full Sense.
Yeah, not really. Another round where they're down 3v5.
2v5.
Spike down B.
2v4.
You try to get the spike down now, but once that fault line gets sent off,
30 seconds left.
this could be very troublesome for Full Sense. They're stuck on site.
Plan is something at least. We'll see whether or not maybe Kalua can pull another rabbit out the hat here with a 3K. That is going to be denied. He has no hat no more. And nor does Primi. 2-2.
Robbed away. Quick recovery from KRX, and I think that's just also kind of recognizing how they want to play around this map, or how Full Sense actually wants to play around this map. There's so much of they're trying to work around bits of control.
Who's getting the defuse?
Should be freeing, I would think. It's got the overdrive, maybe Hermes, but
well, they thought about Hermes for a second there.
Yeah, but overdrive could change the game a little bit more. But yeah, it's always down to trying to find that launching pad and rush over onto site. But because it's a fade, which, can play counter towards Cypher trips, other than that, it's just a double duelist. It's the Phoenix for flashes and the Neon, which, if Mako is reading the situation correctly, just kind of has a good idea of where they're ending up listening to footsteps. He sprays through those walls every day. And that's where you start to find numbers advantage for KRX. Meanwhile, KRX has a breach. They're able to connect players' pieces of utility a lot better.
Joke's over. You're dead.
Now you try to end up once again on towards B, but from north side this time.
Yeah, and without Jitboys, who's just kind of watching over towards A for the moment, seeing if he can maybe come in late on a lurk. Primi sent back. B side still not really committed to. I mean, Spike's not in there. So this round is getting very messy. The rotation has very much been pulled, and if Jitboys can find himself a kill or two, that will really sell this fake and pretty much win the round for Full Sense. They are moments away from getting that Spike plant down. There's one for Jitboys. This is looking perfect. Jitboys for 2. He's a one-man army on the wrong side of the map. Neural Theft out now just to try to figure out what on earth is going on with this round. Hermes finally gets that info for the team, but it might be too little too late. They've had to rotate their way across. They've got no control on the B side of the map. They are halfway through the defuse, but the orbital will deny it, and it will actually finish off Hermes as well. So it goes from bad to worse. And KRX almost certainly going to be losing this round now. Marco would have to pull off a miracle. There's a molly on the Spike as well. What can you possibly do? It's a firing squad on the other side. Full sense. Up to 3. Maybe that's what FS stands for. Firing squad.
Could be. Or full sense.
Or firing squad.
But how is this possible, man? I mean, a solo player, solo duelist, goes in off of maybe a little bit more utility to support it, and that's all it took to sell the fake full rotation, the great migration from KRX. And then again, it is Fracture after all, so it didn't take them too long. But they stuck around all that time in full sense. Just decides to go into B. Next round up, it's another split approach.
Well, Freening's been set up on a forward line with that op in hand. Hyunmin backing away. Two boys unable to progress any further forward for now, but this is very much going to be the commitment on to A. You've got that Nightfall coming through, and it's a 2-for-1 on the entry. Leviathan even improving upon that stat. Full sense figured it out maybe. They've been a little bit wishy-washy on the attack, but that last round looked really good, and this one looking better.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, what we're seeing is a lot of early B hits, especially in that previous round. And now KRX just feels a little bit more comfortable leaving Hermes to his own devices on the B site, have more players out towards A. But with the way that Full Sense are starting to dump more utility in towards areas like Dish, onto site, it just forces KRX to backpedal into uncomfortable positions where they're sitting a little bit more passive, and Full Sense just comes in full force.
That trip maybe hasn't gone where it's entirely needed, but still the job is done.
Yeah, just being able to keep those guns and continue to build up on towards ultimates, Mako onto Brim ult. But other than that, Full Sense just still, it's quite a conundrum of to think about where they could end up.
Yeah, I like it. They're throwing a lot of variety into this attack so far, especially like that fake round from Jip Boys over towards A. I think that really adds an element of confusion to this defense right now for KRX, and they're going to obviously be scrambling as a result of that. So it's conversation time with this timeout.
Yeah, especially with the economy not looking too great for the next few rounds as well. A lot of big ultimates though, and potential, I guess, rolling thunder to get built up on if they are able to play around these positions. It's again, for I guess for the defensive side, a lot more pivotal for them to figure out how they want to work around it. Obviously, you could do a lot with trips and cameras, but figuring out how you want to pivot players around. Mako, you know, maybe a bit of aiming control with the smoke initially. But then again, if Full Sends are kind of wise to the fact that you might be wanting to go for these orbs, and Primi could just flash through the smokes and surprise you. So it's a very tense match right now. One where, played incorrectly, KRX could be looking at an 0-2. You know, full sweep down into the lower bracket. That's not where they want to be.
No, certainly not. Not in a matchup against Nongshim either.
I would like to watch that.
Well, you might get to watch it tomorrow. No, it's not tomorrow. No, the lower bracket's on Saturday. Don't mind me. You might get to watch it on Saturday.
There we go. All right. North side push from Full Sense. Full 5, in fact. Just looking to overwhelm whatever kind of defense KRX might have set up.
Well, as usual, it's the 2-3 split from KRX.
Hang on!
The timing on the spam is really good from Mako. Straight through the smoke, though. Full Sense are not going to be denied an entry into this B site, or at least they're going to try and hope not. Probably for one. Still hasn't got them that control that they need yet. The orbital poised to try to deny the plan here for Mako. He's actually going to use it to try to push Full Sense forward, and that proves to be a mistake.
Oh boy. Now he's alone.
He's a lonely boy. I think they wrote a song about that.
There are so many layers to that one statement alone. Just the fact that he's the lone, I guess, KRX alumni who's, you know, still on the team, hasn't had a chance to lift up that international or Masters trophy yet. His previous teammates, Buzz, Stax, RB, all have lifted up one at some point.
You know what, I think
Lonely
he's been one of the better performers this season as well for KRX.
Yeah.
I've felt at least.
Always, you know, an important player for any team, well, for KRX especially. But in this instance, unfortunately, not one that worked out too well. Why? Full sense. Again, just pushing into sight. Although he did find the first one, it's progression smoke, so why not check into it right off the right timing? But look at how Primi's playing off of this smoke. Takes control over closer to spawn, because that's obviously where the other rotations would come from. And into it, they actually don't get too frazzled into getting the spike down. They're sitting comfortably in uncomfortable positions and being able to find frags as KRX streams in. Next round up, and now they've got the guns. KRX, we're just swapping sides. It's 1-4, but closer, more onto a B site.
Freeing has spotted quite a bit of info there, though. So we'll be able to back up. Safe for the moment. I suspect Full Sense might try and change the approach. Hyunmin! Back's turned! He gets two. That is huge. Insane timing.
Great recognition.
But maybe it doesn't matter. Jitboys has cracked open the A site, and very quick the rotate should come through. Spike's dropped though. Hold on a minute. And Primi's dead too. What a mess of a round.
Are you good, Jordan?
I'm not good, actually. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling. But this is just such a masterclass. You got to imagine by Termi, who called the timeout just a couple of rounds ago.
I'm just an empathetic dude, you know. I'm kind of feeling it for Full Sense right now. That round is shocking.
I'm with you.
In the literal sense of the word.
Yeah.
Inspiring shock. I wonder if Jitboys can put anything together here, though.
30 seconds to spike away from him. Seems unlikely, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough crossfire to break. Don't really have any tools. Oh, he's got it. Hang on, 19 seconds. What if, though? What if? No chance. Bane's got it done.
It's okay. They still have more to go, Jordan. It's all right. 3-5.
Early days.
Yes. But again, it's just so masterful how this was played. They knew that Full Sense would try to pivot off back down into tunnel off of that instant contact. And that they were so right for it. The fault line just to collide on towards it. Hyunmin pushing all the way out towards tree, and that's just further information for them as well. At that point, they found numbers. And it feels like they can continue off of more plays like that. Another 1-4 split defense for KRX with 2 focused on towards Dish. Full Sense being a little bit more careful, but this is such a 4 position. The breach can do so much.
If the timing is right, it might have been whiffed a little bit though. The timing is just awkward. Freeing gets taken down before anything can really occur and gets back out to safety. Yeah, that's a real miss for KRX. It's also going to prompt a push from Full Sense out onto B. Nobody can really see anything, but apparently shots are going to go through onto Hermes anyway.
That's the recon coming in. Mako trying to deny spike plant as much as possible. You're relying on ultimates and, Showstopper here to try to find this retake, but you never know where Full Sense could be positioned. If tree is unchecked, it might not be enough in a 3v5.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you'd really want to rip it in a 3v5, but Full Sense will not even give them the option. Full Sense proactive. And KRX do not have an answer for it at the moment. The 6-3 scoreline is starting to look a little bit foreboding on map 2.
No. I mean, what on earth? First of all, Jitboys. I mean, who is this guy?
He's just getting away with everything today, isn't he?
Yeah. Microplays. The fault line was meant to keep him trapped, but he was able to escape with movement, schmovement. Love it. But on towards the B site, though. And that's where, again, the spike is just a trap for KRX at this point. Full Sense are happy to play around it, trying to bait them out into the open. Another round where they're starting to approach from north side. KRX lesser equipped, so Full Sense quite intent on trying to overwhelm just as a full force. They're trying to bait out a little bit more this time. Not seeing too much from KRX.
Yeah.
So passive, though. Have they taken orbs at all? I hope Freeing has, out towards A main.
KRX
I think certainly have reason to be passive here, noting the pace that Full Sense have been playing with in a few of these rounds. That's a really nice peek from them as well, by the way. Just to push Hermes away from that line. Pretty safe. 4 players around the corner.
And Primy's now 1 away from run it back. Just trying to play so careful and cautious. Maybe trying to play around, you know, the weaponry that they do have, but that's just playing against the back foot. Full Sense is going to run away with this lead. Not seeing too much. It's again Jit Boys, and because he's the Neon, he could do so much to bait out reactions.
That's exactly what he's going to try and do. It's the similar approach from Full Sense. This time, Jit Boy's not able to get any frags, but he has certainly pulled the majority of the rotation in the direction of A. But I wonder if Full Sense are going to be fast enough here. Important kill for Primy to grab.
Oh, time.
They're going to be pushed away from the side. 10 seconds. Plan still going down. Primy does make good use of that run it back, and Leviathan cutting off the push back into the side. It seems like as the dust settles, Full Sense might be okay here. Overzealous on the retake from Freeing, and Marco dealt with solo. It's always Marco that's alive last. 7-3 though, and Full Sense continue to just compound these rounds.
Yeah, sometimes that's what you want to have with Mako, but it's really unfortunate, isn't it? I mean, Primy, what a bro. Sacks the run it back out into the open, just by attention away for the spike to go down, and that's Full Sense still being able to bring things back up. Can't forget Jit Boys as well, though. Again, solo baiting every single bit of information out. They saw the utility and they were like, there's a big stack on A, let's go B.
Yeah.
Off now brought out by Freeing, but Full Sense nowhere to be found. It's A instead.
Hey, Jit Boys is in so much trouble, but maybe you're trapped in here with Primy instead. Curveball around the corner. Primy getting it done. He will not be standing in the shadow of Jit Boys for long. Beautiful round. And another plant for Full Sense and Quack.
Spike planted.
You know, I want to say it's early days, but this is really looking like it might not be KRX's day.
No, sir. I mean, who would have thought? All it took is this comp switch up, and they're playing this way against KRX. Jit Boys just incredibly bold with his movements and plays. Primy right alongside him. If it's not Killua, it's Jit Boys, just to bolster more of the attack, more of the offenses from Full Sense. KRX have no choice but to twiddle their thumbs